Hey, how you doing? This is John, and I got food in my beard. This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Wow, I'm big today because Marcus won't be here. He's working, and in case you're wondering, he's covering the entire state that he works in. So he's traveling back. He's on one end of the state. He probably won't get home until like 10 or so. So he wouldn't be here if I was back at my other time at midnight, but he can't, so he won't. I just hate seeing my screen, my face this big. So remember, this is an open invite show. If anybody wants to come in and join, please do. Please save me from looking at myself, and we will talk about the greatest independent comic of all time. But before we do that, I always like to filibuster a bit to get people in. So, what would you like to talk about? Uh, this is go down. Oh wow, got a bunch of. Oh, it's all Creative Welshman. All right, I guess he wanted to get his 2 cents in. So Creative Welshman says I'm gonna get my first indie comic picks in now. Phenomenova 1, Super Plumber Sisters 1 to 3. I never heard of that. Girl with the Mega Fist, Private Dance, and Wild West. I gotta say, Private Dance I picked up off of Kickstarter. It's an R-rated comic about a couple that goes to a strip club thinking they'll spice up their relationships, and it turns out to be a lot better than you think it would be. I enjoyed that comic too. If you want the worst indie comics I've ever read, Cordrath and Rocket Man. Seriously, nothing happens that kind. I read Cordrath. I don't know Rocket Man. If it's the worst, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I just never heard of it. Hi, my name's Tom. Do you know my grandpa's from Mars? Actual dialogue from Rocket Man. Dialogue is the hardest, man. I have the roughest with dialogue. I think some of the biggest criticisms of my comic is dialogue. Not controversially, but contra to that is I think Tonic Bowl writes the best dialogue I've ever read in comics. It's just so effortlessly real. But he's got kids, and he probably knows how people talk. But he sets his comics in the '90s, so it's probably him and his friends. Then again, I did enjoy Her Hard-Boiled Heart. That's a cool title. I never heard it. 1 to 3 a lot. You should track it down because I know you would. I never heard of it. If you could send me information on where to get that. I hope these comments don't disappear. Yeah, comments sometimes disappear if you make them before the stream goes live. It's weird, but these didn't disappear, but sometimes they do. The other day, there was a whole bunch of comments before I went live, and then when I went live, they were gone. I wanted to comment on them. If we're talking cultural impact, and I think that's technically indie, I'm going to go with Mobius as the Inkal. Good choice. Good choice. I love the Inkal. I forgot about that. So here we have the StreamYard link for anybody who's interested. And let's see. We'll make a poll of what should we do next week. I'll make that a little bit later. Seems like people are winding in now. So reminder, here is the link for anybody who wants to join us. And we're going to talk about the greatest indie comics that for whatever reason. So I guess we'll start this discussion with what exactly do we mean by indie comics? Hey, Yang out. Yeah, you want to come in? We'll talk about this. Here's the link if anybody wants to pop in. Yang, good to see you. So what exactly do we mean by indie comics? Now, the general answer is anything that's not Marvel and DC. And yeah, I kind of buy that. Anything that's not Marvel and DC. But I would add that, like, Valiant Comics wasn't creator owned. That was all IPs. So I would say that indie comics to me are like independently owned, creator owned. So like that has to be a mixture of both, because Alien Legion, that came out by Epix Comics, which was, what's the word? An imprint within Marvel, but it was creator owned, but it was by Marvel. Is that indie? Is that an indie comic? As opposed by Nexus, which came out by Capital Comics, which was owned by Mike Barron and Steve Rude. So we need to come to a consensus on that. So people in the chat, let me know what you think indie comics means. What is the definition? We all kind of know what it is, but I'm one of these nerds that needs to define everything. And apropos of nothing, I've been doing a deep dive on heresies and things like that because I have a character. Now, I have a villain in an upcoming issue of Heroic Tales. If I can make it that way, please support Heroic Tales. It's live on Indie on Fund My Comic. Just sold 2 issues today, matter of fact. But anyway, I have based on heresies, and then that kind of started getting me down a rabbit hole about different types of philosophies. And I have a couple of different philosophy-based villains. And I learned that a dunce, we all know a dunce, right? It's supposed to be a stupid person, a dunce. They wear the dunce cap. But that came from John Duns Scotus, a Scottish philosopher. And he was obsessed. His thing was to define everything. What are we talking about? They had to define all of their terms. And he was really popular for a while, but then like within 100 years later, duncemen, people who follow John Duns Scotus's way of thinking, they became known. It became an insult, meaning nothing ever gets done when they're around because they're too busy stopping. Let's define this. Let's define this. Let's define. No debates ever get done. Nothing. No work ever gets done because everybody's trying to. So it became like you're a waste of time. So when they called you a dunce, they basically meant you were a waste of time. And then later on, that became named for stupidity. So I think that's funny. Tony Grigo says, "Oh, good evening, John. I'll be happy to join you about 50 minutes. I seem to be running late again at work. I've always considered independent comics to be something free of the yoke of Marvel and DC." Yeah, you're always welcome, Tony. Always welcome. I miss you now that you're not here. I missed you last week, and Marcus isn't going to be here. So, anybody's welcome. So, what do we got here? Unicorn Ultranational says, indie means creator owned if I'm fearing puritanical small publishers of Genesis. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. So is Image Comics independent? Is Dark Horse indie? That's for the philosophers to decide. That's for John Duns Scotsman. And here we go. Hey, we got a second person, so I can stop looking at my gigantic, horrible visit. And now we can both of our horrible visages could be on the screen.
Excellent.
Yeah. So do you first off introduce yourself to people? People may not know who you are because this is typically Marcus and Tony and myself.
I am Yang Yan Zhao. I have a YouTube channel at Yang Yan Zhao 4. We talk about comics. We talk about tabletop role-playing games, movies, books, but overall storytelling. That's kind of the interest of the channel.
Okay, cool. And I've been on your channel a few times. I enjoyed. It's one of my favorite channels to be on. You're one of my favorite guests to come on.
Thank you.
We just talk for a long time. I mean, comic books, role-playing games, all the nerd stuff. Yeah. It's funny. At work today, I'm working with this guy, Matt. Young guy, good shape and everything. And we're just working, not in silence, but, just not really talking. So finally, I'm like, hey, so what are you interested in? And he goes, what do you mean? I go, what are you interested in? What do you do for fun? And he goes, I like to lift weights, jog. And I'm like, okay, we got nothing in common. So we just like small talk, chit chat, And I'm like, okay. I finally got a partner at work that I got nothing to talk about. He's a good guy though.
You'll convert him. Don't worry.
Yeah, right. But another. Well, I had 2 partners, and a girl that I'm now working with, an older woman. She started talking about art and how she loves creative people. It's like out of the blue. So I was just like, all right, I'm gonna tell her that I make a comic book.
Yeah, you got to hit her up for some sales.
And you know what's funny? She goes, "Is it about Greek mythology?" So I said, not yet, but I'm working on a story inspired by Greek mythology, and I showed her this artwork. So she bought my comics. So Monday nice. I gotta bring in comics for her. But it was just funny out of the blue. I don't know. I know you do carpentry. Are you a carpenter by trade?
No, just enjoy it. I don't know. I think regardless of what you do for a living or whatever, you should do something with your hands. Like it could be your baking, it could be carpentry. My electrical work is very questionable.
Well,
same with my plumbing.
Your house is still there. Oh, I understand getting a professional do the electrical work. If you mess up, and I'm not just saying that because I'm an electrician, but if you mess up the electrical work, people die.
Yes.
If you mess up the plumbing, your house gets destroyed. Maybe not people die, but everything you worked for is ruined. So I will always get a professional plumber, you know, even though I'm an electrician. But carpentry work, if you mess up your house, looks silly.
Yes.
you know.
And generally you can redo it. So
Right. Like I hired a guy to do all the spackling because I never did it before,
yeah.
and I knew I'm going to be sitting in this basement looking at the bed spackling job for the next 20 years, going, "Why didn't I hire somebody?"
That I do my own drywall work because man, those guys make a lot of money. But I completely understand when people are like, nah, I'm just not going to do that.
Oh yeah, I noped out on it just because I know me. I'd be like, just look at that spot for the rest of my life. And then I went to hang up a poster, and right behind it, I just you think doing this professionally, but I wasn't paying attention, and I hit the stud, so it doesn't have enough.
Oh no.
I couldn't get the roll plug in, so now I got a little hole over there, and I just bought like a spackling repair kit. So this weekend I'll see if I can, make it look invisible.
Well, that'd be good. If not, you just reduce the light on that area.
Yeah, well, it is in the hallway before you come in. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Home Repairs with John and Yan. Wednesday night, I had RJ for the Fourth Age on, for comic book team up, and we ended up talking about restaurants and food for like 40 minutes.
Well, it happens.
So
even superheroes got to eat.
Yeah, superheroes got to eat too. That would be. Is there any superhero who owns a restaurant?
See, I think if you own a restaurant, you don't have time to be a superhero.
Right. Like Tony Stark. Like, I think about that. Like, how does Bruce Wayne legit have time to run a business and be Batman?
Yeah, but he doesn't really run it. He has all of his like sub people run it. I've met a lot of like CEOs or company owners who they just leave it to the board to run whatever. Usually they're getting fleeced. You got people stealing money at some point, but they're happy.
Right. Yeah. As long as they can spend time with their side chicks and stuff, and
on their yachts and on the world. Yeah.
Oh, cool. We got our blessing by Zach Tan. There we go. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I always get a tense until I get the blessing. Yeah. Like it's funny because I don't want it, because this is going to be, I hope it's going to be a shock, but I have this like intricate background plan for one of the characters in one of my one of the main characters in one of my comics, who he is, and what's going on. So the job that I created for him, because he still has to eat. He's a superhero, and he's not Tony Stark. He's not Bruce Wayne. So he needs a job and a career. So what job and what career would make it so that you could be a superhero? At any given moment, you could disappear and show up. You know what I mean?
I always thought Peter Parker really had that covered. Like insofar as superheroes who need to make money, like he's the only one who managed to combine his superheroing with his day job.
Well, he was supposed to be the everyman, and it's so brilliant because he lived with his aunt. You know what I mean? So I never heard her charging him rent or anything like that. So like his room and board was covered. That's most expenses for everybody. I assume he bought his clothes. Like, I don't know, that I don't care how super powerful you are. If your elderly grandmother is buying your underwear for you, you can't fight Dr. Octopus. Put in the bare minimum. So he, and then like dates in college or something like that. So the photography thing, and that was perfect. Freelance photographer.
Yep.
He could be anywhere, and that really was a stroke of genius.
Well, plus, I mean, his specialization was Spider-Man. So it's like, oh, I need a little more money this month. Let me put on the costume, go take some photos.
That's a clobbering time topic. Is Peter Parker taking pictures of himself ethical and selling them to the newspaper?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I would say yes. I don't really have a lot of sympathy for J. Jonah Jameson.
I would say yes, provided like he's not causing crimes.
Yes, that would be different.
Right. Like if he legit catches a crime and then takes pictures of it, that's fine. But like if he's like setting up stuff, you know what I mean? Like having somebody else dress up as Spider-Man and having his friends pretend to be others and something like that.
I see now. I would think that would be funny. Like, if he talked like, "Hey Daredevil, I really need to make rent this month. Can you wear this gorilla suit while I take pictures?" Like that would be, maybe unethical, but like a special kind of awesome.
Or maybe revenge against the J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah. Exactly.
or like have like a because nowadays you can make like real cool latex masks.
Yeah.
So what if I got pictures of who Spider-Man really is, and he takes off the mask and he's wearing a J. Jonah Jameson mask.
Ooh, Scooby Doo style.
Yeah, Scooby. He would have gotten away with
Interesting.
it.
Well, I mean, there's even more problems. Like, would Jameson actually hire Peter Parker with the availability of AI? Because he would just AI everything, with Peter Parker like beating up poor, helpless Scorpion or something.
Oh, so I just thought of something. What if instead of being a crime photographer, what if Peter Parker was paparazzi? He could like get pictures of Britney Spears from like above on the building and stuff like that. He could be everywhere. Like, you know how they always like they're holding up signs, that famous picture of Woody Allen holding up a menu so you couldn't see, but of course he's in the reflection of the mirror, so they sold the picture anyway. But like Spider-Man senses tingling. Oh, I can't even name a modern. Mel Gibson is over there. Spider,
Yeah, he would be the one who could get up, secretly get up on top of the Fantastic Four's building and like take pictures of Reed and Sue arguing in the kitchen, and the Baxter Mansion, and get, I don't know, Black Knight coming out of the shower in a towel or something. It'd be great.
I would picture, if I was Reed Richards, you'd know that the glass would have some sort of gizmo in it, so it can't be photographed.
You'd think so.
Yeah, you think Reed Richards would do that? He doesn't want any of that. People taking pictures of his kids, playing with their toys.
Yeah,
that is funny. I talked about it a couple of weeks ago about Dan Slott blocked me on Twitter before I even interacted with them, and it must have just been because like a block bot or something. But I went and I saw Dan Slott at a Big Apple Con years ago, and he was writing the thing. It lasted 11 issues. He was an up and comer at the time, and I just liked the thing. It showed me that Dan Slott knew Marvel histories and the menu. Like all the stories were based on like Marvel 2-in-1 comics from the 70s, stuff like that. I really liked that, and it didn't last long. It was such like a fan service comic, older fan service. And then he went, I think it was She-Hulk was next. So he was telling me that he was going to be doing She-Hulk. And I was like, he goes, I want to play up the fact that she's a lawyer and do like odd stuff that only would happen in a Marvel comic. So we just started talking, and he invited me, and I sat down at his table with him. And we talked for like an hour, and he was great. He was a lot of fun. He was just an excited nerd. And I was like, how about a human sues the Xavier Institute because he can't get in because he's not a mutant and it's discrimination? And he was like, that's a good one. And then we were talking about like, what if a guy's just on trial and it's just like the Purple Man maybe did it, maybe do it. You know what I mean? And I think that one actually made the comic. Oh, Matt Barr's here. Hey, Matt, you want to come in? Matt? Want to come in? We're talking SND comic. We just kind of filibuster, and I like to talk. I went to a Big Apple Cons where they were just a ballroom at a hotel. This was a ballroom at a hotel. It's funny because the year before we went to Comic Con. I took my wife to Comic Con, and she loved it. She met what's his name, Buckingham, who was the artist for Fables. She loved Fables. So she joined a forum and was like talking on the forum and talking about, and Buckingham was responding to her, and she used her first name and my last name. My last name is unique. Not a lot of people have. So when we went, literally, it was like the Brady Bunch. We were just about to go, and then the girl said, okay, the people in front of us, they're the last ones. Sorry, guys, you have to go. And we waited like 40 minutes. I just saw my wife's face just drop. So I just went, hey, this is, and I said my wife's name, hoping he would remember from the forum. And he went, come here. And he waved us behind, and you just see the woman's face who cut us off. Like, and he pulled us around the table and he said, let me just sign this. And he signed, he was super gracious. And then he just turned and started talking to my wife like they were friends because they had conversations online. And he gave her a book, he gave her, an autograph and everything. But anyway, long story short, she loved Comic-Con, New York Comic-Con.
Oh, nice.
So like, let's go to Big Apple Con. She's like, okay. And it was just in the hotel, and it was gross. It smelled like it is like the Sanford and Son Comic-Con. And
yeah.
We're walking around. She says, if you had taken me here first, I would never have gone back to another comic. It was like there's a guy, he doesn't do it anymore, but he was a fixture on New York City public access television. And he did do two things. He did comic book reviews and strip club reviews.
Nice.
And he was this little, he was built like a Hershey's Kiss. And he would come on, like I'd be flipping around and I'm like, oh, look, he's on. I was like, oh, she's like, I can't stand looking at this guy. She goes, I know it's not good, but and I just watch it just because that's what husbands do. They bother their wives. So anyway, that guy comes walking by. I go, look, it's your favorite person. She goes like, oh, and she's thinking it's like Mark Buckingham or something like that. She goes, we have to leave. We have to leave before he talks to us. I'll try to find a picture of that guy, but it's a New York local. There you go. People in the chat. Do you guys even know what public access TV anymore? Is that even a thing?
I mean, I'm old enough to remember it, and to me, the best YouTube shows very much resemble public access TV.
Right. I guess YouTube is a replacement for public access TV. Yeah. It used to be back when you'd go to channel UHF, and then you had another channel, and it would be like channel like 22 to 68.
Yep.
And it was static, and then just like a schizophrenic talking about Martians who probably was correct. And then static, and like naked ladies, like, so you'd be like 14 years old, like mom's not home.
Yep.
She goes through there. Yeah, internet is public access TV now. Absolutely. Yeah. So that whole thing is gone. There was a local guy. He looked like Michael Rappaport, another New Yorker, and he used to, what's next? And then he would just talk about politics, and he ran for mayor while I lived in the 5 boroughs. So I voted for him. Yeah. So I saw him in I think I saw him the same night that I saw what's his name from the Guardian, Curtis Slill. I think they were talking in a bar. That's and I was like, I voted for both of you guys, at one point or another, because and they both said we couldn't be worse than what we got, and that was 15 years ago. Can only imagine.
Yeah, New York used to have a lot of good, I want to say cable access, but like those late night, really crazy indie channels that just needed something to fill the air. Like there's this one great video of it's got a very young Beastie Boys doing a set, and then it goes to the Butthole Surfers doing a set, and it's the same show, and it looks like it's in somebody's New York City basement.
First off, I want to say RJ from the Fourth Age is here. If anybody wants to come in, here is the link. Matt, if you want to come in, Arkham, you want to come in, RJ, you want to come in. We're talking about indie comics, but we're just filibustering now until people show up. But second, are you talking about the show Austin City Limits? They were a great show.
No, for sure it was from New York City, because the guy had like a really thick Brooklyn accent.
Oh,
you snows. Okay, it's time for the Beastie Boys. And it was, I found it on the internet. I definitely could not watch it live when it happened. But it was like amazing. And then there was like some guy, I think like out in he was out in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, and his mom let him turn their house's living room into like a studio, like it looked like a David Letterman studio or something. And like famous people, when they were traveling through for whatever reason, would just stop into this guy's house in the middle of nowhere, Kansas, like to do an interview.
That is awesome.
There was great stuff.
That's probably the inspiration for Wayne's World. Because if you remember, Wayne's World was supposed
Yeah.
to be public access TV in wherever they were, in Illinois or Wisconsin.
Yeah. Illinois.
Yeah.
And that's how we got Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh,
Like
really?
every city had some TV show that had to do with movies. So like out in, I think it was LA, had Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Around here we had Ghoulardi. He was famous. And up in Wisconsin, I think it was Wisconsin, is where Mystery Science Theater came from. And it, like, all these old UHF stations, all they could afford to run was old movies. So like they just made fun of it. Here we had another one, Big Chuck and Little John, where like they would take themselves and put themselves into the movie. So there's like Fright Night with Jamie Lee Curtis, and there's like a disco scene, and the Big Chuck and Little John, like one was a midget and the other guy was like 6'5", and he would dress up like an old Polish man with like a sweater and a terrible mustache and a cigar. And like I don't know how they did it back in the 80s, but either the movie was filmed here for the disco scene, or somehow they found it because they put themselves in the disco scene with Jamie Lee Curtis. And it was like they were just like dancing up next to her, and then it would cut, and then you like cut to another angle and it would be back to the movie, and then they go, and then like the two of them would be in the background somewhere. It was amazing.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. In New York, I don't know if he was in New York, but they have, now I can't remember the guy's name, but he had it was a horror host guy. And, he would play like old bands like the Cramps and stuff like that. I don't think the Cramps were there, but the Cramps just fit his style of like creepy, and it's gonna drive me nuts. Not Sven Google, but something like that. And it was called the Gula Go-Go, and he had Crichton was the name of this Frankenstein monster guy. You could see he had like a rubber mask that was cut and then just put on top of his head. But RRTNZ, he super chatted me. It says, can't stay long. Greatest indie comic, Elementals, issues 1 to 5.
Ooh.
That's my favorite. Most successful, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Cheers. Can't argue with that. So I guess that brings us back to the topic. So I always start the show off by filibustering, and that was fun. But I already had this preloaded, so I guess Elementals is one of my favorite independent comics. I talk about this so much. And how you doing? Garfield's Bizarre Adventures. How you doing? This comic, for those of you who don't know, this is Bill Willingham. Bill Willingham is his claim to fame, or I guess his biggest fame, is the writer on Fables. A wonderful, wonderful series. So Bill Willingham is probably more famous as a writer than an artist, but this is his art. This is a very interesting man. He was in the military. He was a professional gambler in Vegas for a couple of years. He wrote for Marvel and DC. He drew for Marvel and DC. He wrote for. I discovered him from Villains and Vigilantes, the game that I'm always talking about. He did, not arguably, the best. He hates the word modules, but that's what they were called. But supplement, the Island of Dr. Apocalypse and Death Duel with the Destroyers. Cool. And I think they go for big bucks on eBay now because it's some of his first original artwork. Excuse me. But he heard about a comic company called Texas Comics, and he called them up and said, I would like to make the comic. And they're like, okay, come on down and let's see what you got. So he's like, oh, okay. So he did a 5-page mock-up of the Elementals. Just that was the first thing that thought of. A water hero named Fathom, an air hero named Vortex. That boy is Monolith Tommy, and I always say his name wrong. But I always said Kazurka, but it was wrong, and I don't remember how he corrected me. And then a woman named Morningstar, the Fire One, and he just made generic heroes, drew them fighting the Destroyers, and brought it there. And the guy at Texas Comics was just like, okay, cool. What how you think you could do 1 issue a month? He goes, of what? He goes, of this. You just pitched me this comic. He was like, I did. He thought he was going to be drawing for something else. So he just made Elementals. And I really do think that this is the most important comic that you've never heard of.
Really?
It's not grim and gritty, but it's more realistic. So like it's proto Watchmen, it's proto Dark Knight Returns. Like these are heroes, and the premise of the book is they all die. So she drowns and comes back as a water elemental. He's a helicopter pilot, crashes in a windstorm. He comes back as an air elemental. The boy gets crushed in a landslide, and the woman is a cop she's a cop who gets burned to death in a building, and they all die, and then they come back to life. And it turns out that the spirits of the whatever resurrected them, gave them powers to deal with this supernatural threat called Saker, and he's this ancient wizard that's just upsetting the natural order. That's the name of the first six issues, the natural order. And what I like about it is they're dead. They're creepy. They have no emotions outside of combat. If they're not fighting, if they're not doing their purpose, they kind of don't know what to do with themselves. And they give people the icks, as the youngins say, and then they start to realize that they're not getting any older. They're effectively immortal. Hey, Matt's here. How you doing, Matt?
What's up, guys?
Hey, Matt.
How's it going?
Chilling.
Matt, are you familiar with this comic, The Elementals, at all?
Yeah, I've seen it. I've heard of it.
Yeah, I think it's so good. Like, so Tommy realizes he's gonna be a 14-year-old boy forever. So he just continue.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, he's continually going through like hormonal teenage years. So it and then
17, 18. Okay. But
yeah, 18 years old, I could deal with that. You know what I mean? But 14 years old, well, your voice is changing, forever. You know what I mean? And he's the comic, I think, took like 15 years of like in comic time, and he's still a boy, and he starts like chatting up women, and they're like, you're a boy. You know what I mean? It was really, shocking. And then they I don't want to use the words, but a person who abuses children, and they just kill him. They just flat out kill him, and they're just like, this is what we're supposed to do. Like, this was a distraction from our purpose. We're not going to deal with, and it was shocking to me as a kid. Like, oh my God. And Tommy just says, like, we can't afford. He goes, this isn't a comic book. When super villains, when people with superhuman powers start murdering people, we got to put them down. He says the law is for humanity. These are not humanity, and it was, but I don't want to make it sound like it was just a blood feud. No, it wasn't. It was just like logical consequences to superpowers. But it was such a great comic, and then it just turned into porn. There's no other way to describe it. It was really, really awkward and weird, and Bill Willingham doesn't like talking about it. I don't know what the hell's going on in his life. And then Comico, the owner of Comico, I think, because nobody wants to talk about it, I think he got in trouble with the mafia and got forced to sell everything. So Bill lost the rights. He's kind of touchy about it, so and then somebody sold the name Fathom to what's his name, Michael Turner, and and Bill Willingham never got anything to do with that. So he's a little justifiably upset. Yeah, Bill Willingham gave up all the rights to his Vertigo book, which is bizarre. Yeah, that is an interesting story. Matt, do you know anything about that? I realize I'm talking too much and I'm not giving my guess.
No, that's the Cerebus, right?
No, Fables.
Fables. That's one where he was just like, they're trying to be weird, so I'm just gonna let the rights to it go out to anybody who wants it or something.
Right. Fables is, it's Snow White. It's all the Fables. Snow White, Big Bad.
Yeah.
And he made a world of it. Great comic. I recommend anybody go read that comic. It is so good. And then it was over, and it was done on his terms, and he finished up. And then DC came back to him years later. You want to do like a 10th anniversary? So he did a 6-issue run. Going, Oh.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I'm getting so mad. I think they lowered my internet. I got to call up Optimum online. What's going on? My phone, outside of my house, my phone works like lightning. I come in my house, it takes forever. So anyway, the internet of the poor is over here. So he did the 6-issue series, and then somewhere around the third month, he started realizing that they're not honoring the contract that he originally signed.
Ooh.
And when he brought it up, they were like, none of those. He goes, oh, those people aren't here anymore. So this is the way we do things now. Like all the people that dealt that they're not in Marvel, they're not in DC anymore. So he just rightfully lost his mind and just said, I relinquish all rights since I'm the owner. DC doesn't own it. Do whatever you want. Make fan fiction. You know, he basically, you're going to screw me, I'm going to screw you. So DC can't make a movie. They can't make a TV series. And he also
he had a contract with them, right?
Something, yeah. And they weren't honoring it, and they're just like, oh, we didn't sign a contract to do. We don't even know where this contract is. Those people aren't here anymore. This is a whole new DC kind of song and dance.
Damn.
You know, what are you gonna do? You're gonna start DC?
Yeah, that sounds pretty on par for the comic industry.
That's Matt. You're probably the only one out of us three that like has signed contracts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Have you ever gotten screwed or?
Oh yeah.
My
and then
wife
I sued him.
And you won?
Yeah, I won.
Oh, good for you.
Oh, nice.
I don't know why, but
Because it was like, you know, it was like, hey, we got a deal. You're gonna sell these books. Then I'm gonna make a book for you. You're gonna sell these books, and then I'm gonna get a percentage of the sales.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy was, you know, we had the contract, and then the guy decided to just use them as promotional pieces for his talking engagements. So he would get hired to come and do these lectures and talking, and then would give the comic book out. And it was like, bro, like, how much are you making on these lectures? Like, he's making thousands of dollars on these lectures. So I was like, well, you need to give me something, dude. You can't just give away the book that we agreed that you would sell. And yeah, it went all the way to court, and I won. Yeah,
I do know that. I'm sure RRT&D will correct me if I'm wrong, but Lord of Brooklyn. First off, hello, Lord of Brooklyn. I'm not familiar with the name, so it's glad to see new people. Thank you for watching. With the need for content, I'm surprised some streaming services haven't picked up the Elementals. Even if they were interested, I think the rights are all screwed up, and I don't think people are gonna waft through all of this legality just to get an unknown. You know, if it was Mickey Mouse or Superman, I'm sure they would. But I agree with you. The Elementals would be an amazing show. The only problem is the boy actor who played Tommy would be growing up when he's you know. And the mafia involved in comics, yeah. Charlton Comics. You guys know this?
No,
they were a front for the mafia. That was the whole company was a money laundering scheme. The owner went to jail.
Nice.
Yeah, so Steve Ditko, they were just like, yeah, do whatever you want. We don't care. You know, we operate at a loss. We don't care. You know, so Steve Ditko was like, hey, you guys, this do you approve of this? Like, yeah. Do whatever you want. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
They just.
I mean, it sounds funny, but man, the mafia is just no good, bro. I was watching a show today about that something Simone. He was like I forgot his first name. Never mind. I don't want to derail, but it was some gnarly stuff, like chopping people up behind the Gemini bar lounge. God. It was wild, dude.
Yeah. Great retirement plan there in the mafia.
Right?
You don't really see old mafia guys. Yes, RRT, you missed it, but I talked about Village Vigilance, but I did forget to say that Bill Willingham got his start for D&D art. If you remember those old comics in the 80s of like D&D ads, and you had the wizard and stuff like that. Green slime, it's about to drip on us. Bill Willingham and Jeff D drew those. And I am trying to find all of them. Like, I would love to get them all on a website and read that whole story. Because apparently it's an entire story. And I'm sure I'm missing pages. And Willingham says there's pages that haven't been printed yet. I would love to get that D&D. Grindel the Elf and I forget.
I wonder if he was one of the guys. I do remember back in the very late 70s or early 80s, TSR, which is a company that made D&D, they were getting in some trouble with Marvel because they were basically ripping off Marvel art. Like, really? it would be like exact same, you know, pose, like they take from a Conan comic or something like that. And it's because the artists who were doing it, like a lot of them, they weren't really professional artists. This was sort of like their first job, and they just happened to know somebody who worked at TSR, and that's how they got the job doing art. And they loved Marvel Comics, so they're like, "Oh, I'll make this monster, like sort of crouching over someone like Kirby did with the Hulk." And eventually Marvel was like, "No, you gotta knock that off."
Oh, so they
were swiping? Were they swiping art? Is that what they were doing? They were
basically.
Yeah, so they were taking.
Dude, that is a big time thing in comics, dude. Just swiping. Swipers no swiping.
Kirby was mostly copy. Yeah, Old Dirty Fatty says he knows what you're talking about. Yeah. So they would take a Savage Sword of Conan cover and then just redrawing it in the same pose or something like that with their characters.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you'd have Conan like this with a sword or something, and then they just like draw armor on him, or
they were literally lifting the art.
Oh yeah.
So AI before AI. Yeah. Oh wow.
I mean, I know that there was like artists who had like file cabinets of references. Like I used to do like these private lessons with this guy named Ken Landgraf in New York. Like I'd go to a studio and I'd sit there and I'd watch him draw shit. And he had fucking file cabinets of like hands, boats, feet. I mean, it was just constantly like ripping pages out of magazines and stuff. It was kind of wild, but yeah.
So Matt, let me ask you, you're the only artist out of us. What do you consider like fair? What do you consider swiping? Like, if I'm looking at a comic book cover, I mean, there's only so many poses you could put a human being in, you know what I mean? So what would be fair use? You know what I mean? Like, I got the patriarch, Matt's drawing. I'm just making up a scenario. Don't read into this, ladies and gentlemen. But so Matt's drawing patriarch number 3, and I tell him to do the cover. Like, he's you ripped off Superman. Well, that's just how human beings pose.
I mean, I guess if you're like, hey, you're drawing your superhero in a Superman position. I mean, shrugged. I mean, yeah, you can't really copyright that. But if like you find a drawing and you're able to lay my drawing on top and they like pretty much are like lining up, that's shenanigans.
Right. Yeah. Because
I would say that's a swipe. That's like.
Do you think homage covers are whatever a scam, or
I guess it depends.
I mean,
most of the time I don't like them, but like if you're like doing like a homage to something that's like not a comic book, like if you're doing, I don't know, like an album cover, you know what I mean? Let's say you're doing an like you have like there's like a dope album cover, and you're like, hey, like draw the character doing the same thing that this guy is doing. I think that could be fun. I think that's okay and it's fun. But if it's just like, hey, I'm just like redrawing somebody else's shit and I'm just going to call it a homage, I don't know. I think it's lazy. I think it's super lazy.
That I'm doing is I'm getting like a second printing covers done. So when I sell out, I already have covers to go. Matt was my first one. I sent them London Calling by The Clash, and I have the patriarch.
But there's no you like the way your character is so jacked and how I drew him. Like there's no like overlaying. I didn't like trace. I just like took the composition and like what the guy was doing. There was another guy, this guy named Joe Orlando. I had as a teacher, and he was like, he was really no on swiping and stealing and homages. But he was like, if you really like a cover, then just fast forward the action 3 seconds and draw that. If you really like that, take that moment, rewind it 5 seconds, and then draw what you think is happening. And it was just like, copy, gotcha. That's pretty dope. But
like, how many times have we seen, the Superman smashing the cover, with their characters? See,
or like the Hulk, pushing his 300 issue or whatever. Like we've seen that a bunch, or we've seen Spider-Man like pushing up the metal while he's like about to drown. I mean,
I think the most one is the Justice League and Justice League of America, the Kevin McGuire, with all of them looking tough.
Yeah,
we've seen that one.
the ones with the little circles in the faces, we've seen that one too. I've seen like Liefeld do it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Or the X-Men Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
That doesn't. I don't find, like, as long as it's obvious that it's some homage, and then on the bottom you're right, like after Kirby, or you know what I mean. But like, I don't know. I just don't need to see the Wolverine's claws with like your character's reflection in them.
Dude, I was thinking that cover too. I was just like, how many times have you seen that? Or everybody's just like trying to draw their version of it.
Yeah. But I don't know. As long as you admit, like I always say, like an homage.
Homage.
I think he froze up. Well, it's probably a good time to promote Patriarch number 2.
Yep.
I think he's getting on. So
I'm hoping that he's just frozen, that he's not like having a stroke. I hope it's just like the internet. But yeah, so Patriarch 2, that's on its way.
I think so. Heroic Tales, go check out their publishing. I think he's selling on pretty much every platform except for Indiegogo now.
Nice. Do you think he's going to go over to Back Me Bro? Have you heard the new crowdfunding?
So that's from Shane, right? Shane Davis. I don't know. I heard about it, but I haven't had time to really look into it.
Yeah.
My question is why? Like, what is that going to achieve that, let's say, Fund My Comic doesn't achieve?
Yeah.
And the only problem with all this stuff is I think Kickstarter is the only legit, like, there's a lot of problems with Kickstarter, but it's the only legit crowdsourcing platform where I don't have to bring all of my own audience, because there are people who will go on Kickstarter and like, okay, what's the new comics for today? What's the new gaming products for the day? And you
it's
can
it's a huge website. I mean, I remember like before we were calling crowdfunding, it was like, yeah, you should kickstart that. Right. Yeah. That was almost like lexicon of just like, oh yeah, you should take that idea and kickstart it,
And the problem with Indiegogo, and as much as I like Luke Stone, he's always been a nice guy with me. But the only problem with it is, like, nobody's like, oh, I want to see what new comics are out, I'm going to go on Fund My Comic. Like, you have to bring your own audience to those platforms. Oh, there he is.
It's gonna be one of those nights, guys. I'm sorry. Thank you for carrying on.
No worries.
Continue talking. I'll jump in.
Heroic Tales. Yeah. So I think when I do my stuff, I think I'm definitely going to go with like the larger campaign, Kickstarter, and I'll go on Indiegogo, because why not? I mean, if I'm already going to have the book done when I crowdfund, like I think it would just feel better. And I think the trust that people have right now is super low and stuff. So if I show up and I say, here's my book, I'm basically looking for pre-sales and the printing costs, You don't like Indiegogo? I'm curious. I saw your face.
I mean, I've never used them, but they've been sold to someone not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
I think John. Oh no, maybe he's there. But basically, like, I've had a lot of people who they've had lots of problems getting approvals, or they'll be approved, and then at the last minute, after they've spent time and money advertising their book, like, they'll have some problem where they can't launch on the right date. I've heard a lot of people say they can't get their money out of Indiegogo. And most people are not the artist, right? Like, you have an advantage over most of your competitors because you can just start drawing whenever you want. Whereas most people, like, they got to fund it to hire the artists. And, artists are temperamental. If I book you, if I say like, hey, at the beginning of May, I have money for you to start this project, and I miss that beginning of May deadline,
we move on.
Yeah. I don't know if I can ever get you back. So it's a big problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that. Yeah. Because somebody was like, yo, I have the money for you on March, and it's February, and then March comes and you're not set up. I have to pivot and do something. something else, So
Yeah, and I mean, I certainly don't blame the artist. And I've had that problem too. I funded a tabletop role playing game campaign guide, and it takes 2 weeks for Kickstarter to pay out after the campaign's over. So there were people who were like, "Okay, it's the end of October. You funded." I was like, "Okay, but you got to wait until the middle of November because I can't pay you till then."
as long as you're you're honest and upfront and clear with what's going on, then I think most artists are pretty cool.
Yeah, you got to establish your
Yeah.
terms. Yeah.
Yeah.
I made a rookie mistake after 2 years. I talked to an artist and I was like, okay. And I usually say, we're going to do 1 page complete and then I'm going to make my decision. So you got a paid tryout. And this guy did like 6 pages.
Oh,
I was like, this. And I remember I showed one of the guys at work and he goes, dude, I wouldn't buy that comic. I was just like, yeah, I don't know if he took somebody else's samples. So I just said, dude, we didn't agree to this. And you got paid for your
He got paid for the 1 page.
I think he's gone again.
Yeah, I don't. If
1
somebody
page,
was
but
like, "Hey, man,
this-
draw 1 page for this gig, and maybe you'll get it, or maybe you won't." Like, yeah, I'm just gonna draw the 1 page. I mean,
Yeah. Well, but I mean, you can kind of understand, like, let's say they're young and this is maybe their first opportunity to draw a full book. They could be thinking, I'm going to go the extra mile. Or maybe they're just thinking like, oh, I'll do more and like hem this guy up and guilt him into paying me.
oh shit, yeah.
I know, but I'm still getting messages, dude. I'll do better next time. It's like I already replaced you. I'm sorry, but I'm only working with people I know or who are recommended by people. This was just like somebody messaged me out of the blue, sent me sample pages, and I was like, all right, this looks really, really good.
But then, yeah, because it's like you don't know how long that person spent on those samples, and then when you actually on the gig, it's like, okay, so 2 months you could do a really good page, but in a week you're pumping out dog shit. Sorry, dog feces. Sorry, John. He's not even here to reprimand me for cussing, and I apologize.
Great, more swearing. Oh, he's back.
Yeah,
sorry.
That's.
Oh, and he's gone again.
I've been around my kids all day, so I haven't been able to cuss. And now that I'm up here in my office, it's like, F.
And it's funny because when I said something, this is unbearable. This is unbearable. I don't know what's going on with my internet connection. But this guy said to me, I was sick and I was up late. So I said, so you knowingly sent me garbage? I mean, that doesn't help your case. I'll do better. So I feel bad.
Well, hopefully it's a lesson learned with him for the next gig. That's all you could do.
I did say, I said, you should sell yourself off as a colorist because he drew it and he inked it and he colored. I said, your colors are excellent. Wow. So do coloring.
He did 6 whole colored pages for you?
No, he did 1 complete page and then he did layouts for 6 pages.
Oh, okay.
Like that, and I got to say that the other pages, I was like, that's not what I asked you to draw. Like some of these, like there was 5 panels on the page, you did 3. I'm like, what are you trying to make it easier for yourself? You know what I mean? Like, but I didn't even address.
What was the script? Did the script call for 5 panels?
The script had like 5 panels on a page, 4 panels on a page, but like like Renzo, we've been working for a while, and sometimes I'll have like 1 page had 3 panels on it, and he ended up doing 5 panels because he just felt that it didn't flow well enough. But we got a relationship, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I trust him, and then some like Oscar. He was just like, no, that's too much. So he reduced a panel. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I have a relationship. Plus, like Matt, if we're working together and you're changing, so I'm not going to argue with you.
I would show you in my thumbnails though.
Right.
You'd see my thumbnails and be like, oh, I see what you did there. But if you were like, no, I'm really wanting to hit like a 3-panel page, you fucking pay me. Okay. Okay, right. Sure. I'll make it 3 panels.
This person I had no relationship with, and and it was just like it literally looked like he took the character, it was the patriarch, and it looked like he took the patriarch and then just like copied and pasted it, but like changed the facing. You know, it I'm not joking. It looked like garbage, and I was trying to be nice. I was just like, I'm going to cancel the project. It's not going the way I want. And blah blah. You know, no hard feelings. And then, you know, and I'm not mentioning the names because I'm not here to hurt anybody's feelings or anything like that. But
I'll mention some names. Chuck Dixon. So when I was working with him, like when I first started working, I was like, okay, this is Chuck frickin' Dixon. Like if he says there's 8 panels, by God, I'm gonna make that happen. And then like halfway through the book, I was like, I'm I mentioned something, and he was like, I'm not even checking the script, dude. I don't care. I was like, okay. He was like, these are great. I'm like, yeah, I did one less panel on this page, or and he was just like, I'm not comparing them, dude. It looks awesome. I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah. Chuck, he says that once he sends the script to the artist, it's the artist.
Yeah. I mean, I stay pretty close, but if there's just something that I want to do, or if I want to add like a little Mike Mignola panel of like a little snake head in there just for shits and giggles, he doesn't care.
He was raving about you the other day. He was on my channel Wednesday.
I heard.
Yeah.
Genius. I got the clip and I went and let my wife listen.
Yeah. And
I was like, you hear this?
Did you hear the other news?
What's the other news?
Me and Chuck are writing a story together.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Just kiss, dude.
Yeah. So I came up with a vigilante character, and I was like, this sounds like a Chuck Dixon. So my whole philosophy is you don't get what you don't ask for. So I was just like, I wonder if I could afford Chuck Dixon. This just sounds like this vigilante character written by Chuck Dixon. Oh my God. So I pitched it to him, and he never responded with his price, but he just said, he goes, I do so many vigilante characters. I want to save those ideas for myself.
Yeah.
And then he said, you got anything else? I'd love to work with you. And I was like, I got this, I didn't know what to say. So I actually pitched him an idea that you didn't want to work on.
Oh, word. The spaceship.
Yeah, the spaceship. And he didn't respond for like a day. And I'm like, oh, well, Chuck doesn't like my idea, because if he doesn't like something, he doesn't respond. So I'm like, oh, well, I pitched Chuck Dixon an idea, and now there goes my shot. And like, not even joke, like 4 minutes after I said that, I get an email, the six pages of script. He goes, John, this idea is so good. He goes, I love this. He goes, we'll do this book, and I'll talk to my Hollywood guys. He goes, this is awesome.
Why did I not want to do it? What was the reason? I think I was like, yeah, I want some aliens, and you were like, nah, there's no aliens.
No, there's no aliens. Humanity didn't.
I was like, I get to draw aliens. You were like, yeah, there's no aliens. I was like,
yeah, humanity didn't make it far enough to count the aliens yet. No, you didn't like it because it was too dark.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's when you said you want to do something that your kids could read, and that's when I pitched that other idea to you, the comedy series.
And dude, the Machine Elves is going to be hilarious.
Yeah, I'm so good you like it. And I got 3 more stories for you.
Dude, when I'm not drawing my stuff, I have doodles of our Machine Elves everywhere doing shit. You know what I mean? Like, just like yelling at each other. Just like, I like drawing them, Yeah. I like drawing them.
So I pitched Matt this story, and he said it was too dark. First, how you doing, Tony?
Hi, guys.
How you doing, Tony?
Hey, sorry I was late.
That's okay. It's okay. We didn't even start talking about the topic yet. We were already derailed, but that's fun. I enjoy this. This is a fun conversation. So I pitched it to Matt. Matt said it was too dark. So then I was on Matt's channel. I was just on a break for work, and I just picked up my phone, and I was talking to Matt, and I see Matt's not even looking at me. He's looking over I'm like, what are you looking at? All the pipe work. And he goes, can we do something about that? I want to draw that, like these pipes. And I'm like, that's the stupidest idea I've ever heard, but I don't want to insult Matt, So I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. So I thought about it for a week, and I'm like, what if, like, the Machine Elves, if you take this drug, you could see beyond reality, the guy's building reality. What if they're bending the pipes and it's the panels of the comic books? And Matt liked that idea.
Yeah. So like the piping, I was like, yeah, it looked like almost like gutters, like panel gutters,
right.
And then it was like, oh yeah, these guys are like putting the panels together and like putting like assembling the pages before you turn them, You know,
Yeah. So
because that'd be funny if like you're like story continues on page 38, and you flip to 38, and they've got all the panels in the corner, and they're just two elves sitting there, and they're like, it's not ready yet. It's not ready. Go to page 49. Go to page 49, and then you go to page 49, and then the story starts off like it's supposed to. But yeah, it's like these little guys like behind your panel.
So like one of the apprentices, he messes up the panel, so the story starts to bleed into the future. You know what I mean? So guys, it's like a science fiction story. So it's kind of like they're going too fast. So now they're seeing images of himself time traveling because the apprentice elf.
It's also like that little bit of that like Mad Magazine Sergio, where like the pan in the corners of the pages, there's like little stuff going on.
So
like, who approved this diagonal panel? Like, who? Yeah.
That's why I even said, I go, Matt, draw whatever you want in the diagonal, because the machine elves are going crazy. Put whatever gags you want. I think it'll be funny.
Yeah, it'll be a really good indie comic.
So Tony's here, and Tony always does his research. So I would feel bad if we didn't let him talk. So this is Clobbering Time. Believe it or not, Matt and I came up with Clobbering Time, and he was my original co-host, and we would talk about Batman beating up Daredevil. But we kind of ran out of good one-on-one fights. You know, there's only so many times you could Wolverine fight Spider-Man or something like that. But if anybody has a good, beat them up, two guys fighting, I would love to get back to doing that. But anyway, so this is what's the best indie comic, and I know Tony, you got something to say, right? What do you want to say?
The two that I liked ever since I was small growing up, it was Airboy and Grimjack.
Oh, I'm completely surprised.
Grimjack.
Okay,
yeah,
go ahead.
Grimjack.
And that brings us to Chuck Dixon, because Chuck Dixon's first big major work was Airboy. Go ahead. You can keep talking.
Oh, yeah. Grimjack was an odd one. It started off as do you remember Warp? That really ugly, that weird comic based on a play from the 70s. He came, originally he debuted there in one panel, I think in Warp issue 5. And he just was something that John Ostrander really, really liked to do. So he sort of spun him off to a backup in Star Slayer number 10. And it had a really good run by Tim Truman, probably one of the earliest examples of his artwork. It's just such a great, great run. I think it started off in First Comics, then that was when, who published Grimjack first, John? I'm trying to remember.
Is it First Comics? I'm bringing this up right here, Grimjack. I think it was First Comics, one of the most important comic book companies that aren't remembered anymore. But this is one of the companies like Comico, First Comics, Eclipse.
Mm-hmm.
I try to get anything that they put out. If I see, that's a First comic that I don't have, I'll get it.
It lasted about 75 issues, and then it just sort of disappeared. They tried to bring it back again in the early 2000s. Ostrander and Truman teamed up. They did something called the Manx, M-A-N-X, the Manx Cat, and it was a good mini series. Unfortunately, they never brought it back again. I guess it didn't sell enough. Trying to remember the.
So I mean, this is Tim Truman, right?
Yeah, I think that is. Yeah,
because he was also doing Scout like almost at the same time, and this guy's a phenomenal artist. Was he?
Yeah, he was great. It was influenced a lot by Fafrin and the Grey Mouser. Because the base of operations for Grimjack was a city on a nexus of reality called Cynoshore, I believe. I'm trying to remember how to even pronounce that. It's been a while. Cynoshore, yeah. And it basically, you have all sorts of things. You have gods among men, barbarian sections, sections with the pirate themes, science fiction stuff. Every sort of stuff is in there. And
I bought all these back issues. I haven't read them yet. These are in my 20 long boxes of comics that I haven't read yet. I didn't realize that was the premise. Now I want to put it to the top of the pile.
Yeah, he was a sword for hire ex-paramilitary war veteran and former child gladiator. His base of operations in China was in Munden's Bar, in the pit, the slum area of that city. And I mean, there were all sorts of really neat adventures. Some were horror themed, some were just plain science fiction, some were just action and adventure. It was the probably the first big thing that John Ostrander did. People know John Ostrander, rather what he's most famous for, which is the Suicide Squad. He was the one that did, he's the one that made the modern day Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad that everybody knows, which he took from a earlier idea from Showcase Comics. I'm trying to remember, I think it's issue 20. That was basically World War II agents that were just, they knew that they were living on borrowed time and they could die at any time. That's why they got the whole Suicide Squad moniker. When he brought that idea back in Legends Legends took place in 1987 or 88. That's when it became the team made up of super villains. I'm trying to remember who was the... do you remember, John? Do you remember the roster of the original Suicide Squad? I think it was Captain Boomerang.
Captain Boomerang, the Enchantress, Rick Flag. That's all I can remember. Oh, Deadshot. And that's all I can remember.
That's all that people remember Mr. Ostrander for. I'd like to remember him for this. Great series. I can't recommend it enough. I wish it would come back.
You know what's funny is I didn't know this, but you mentioned Munden's Bar.
I have a copy of Suicide Squad #1 somewhere over here in this pile of comics. I tried to jump up and check out who the roster was.
But Munden's Bar was that was in other comics.
Mm-hmm.
Other independent, because I didn't realize that, but Munden's Bar was this interdimensional bar where other characters like Cerberus is in there.
Mm-hmm. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It appeared in Bean World. It appeared in Airboy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's from this comic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I definitely got to read this now because I'm a big fan of Tim Truman's art. Matt, you're an artist. Are you familiar with Tim Truman?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember this.
Tom Mandrake took over after he left, and Tom Mandrake did the bulk of the series. That was the thing I hated about Tim Truman. I love the man's art, but he was flighty back in the 80s. He'd get you in, he'd stay for about 10 or 11 issues, and then he'd be gone. And I like Tom Mandrake's style, but I've always equated Tim Truman with Grimjack. That's my favorite.
Truman probably left to do Scout, which was his comic.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, and Scout is another great indie comic. It's set all the way in the way future of 2025. It's America 2025 after the war. I guess in the future, 1982 was 2025, right?
It was sort of like Mad Max, but with Native Americans, right? I kind of read in and out of it. I never really got into it.
But go figure. In Scout by Tim Truman, the president is being blackmailed and drugged against her will into starting wars, and it's all science fiction, right?
Yeah.
That couldn't possibly happen. Those are two good choices. I'm really surprised because I thought you were going to say Cerberus.
Cerberus is, the thing about it is I would not I wouldn't classify it as a comic. It's more than that. I mean, the first 20 or so issues when he's just a barbarian, that's very comic-like. But then when you go into it's sort of a dissertation on the whatever was on the mind that of Dave Sim at the time. It started off as a parody of Conan, then it moved on to serious issues. It touched on feminism, it touched on politics and religion.
Yeah,
It's weird, you know.
I always say it's an illustrated guide to a man's nervous breakdown over 10, 20 years.
Exactly. And the thing about Service that I loved was not so much the stories, which were great, and the backgrounds by Gerard were fantastic, but I loved the letter section. I just love the engagement. How Dave Sim could challenge to a duel in one response. He could challenge you to a boxing match in the other. He could tear you apart in this one. He was an interesting fella. And again, despite whatever personal issues he had, I'm still very much a fan of his, and I love that book. I think that book is a work of art. So yeah, I guess I will include it in that, though. Like I said, it's not like it's not as punchy as Grimjack or Airboy or Alien Legion. It's very much its own thing.
I would first off, I'm up to like 863, and to me it's just turning into a slog. Like every time I get to it, I'm like, I'll put other comics up. But I got to admit, this is a guy who did it all himself. It was him and his wife through the entire company. So to me, it's that and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles are probably the two best indie comics, whether you like the people or not. But these are two people who did it all themselves, like almost like as punk rock as you could possibly get.
You forgot about his partner, Gerard, the guy that did those beautifully interesting.
There to like 50 issues in, you know what I mean? So it's just that drawing all the background. If you notice the first 50 issues, it was a lot of like him in a building and then just a spotlight because it's just a good way to cheat. So he needed somebody to do the backgrounds, otherwise he was gonna never get the comic out on time. But yeah, Gerard, I think he just started where I'm reading, and I noticed that the book has more light in it now because he doesn't have to be standing in a cave. But anybody think anything of indie comics? I already brought up the Mutant Ninja Turtles. I mean, I'm sure people are going to talk about that.
Well, for Cerebus, I would say that it probably wasn't the greatest indie comic of all time, but it was certainly the #1 indie comic that inspired other comic creators. Because I don't think you would have had Image if you didn't have Cerebus. So I think
it's the Velvet Underground of comics.
Yeah, exactly, or the Pixies, you could say. But for one of the greatest comics, I think I would go maybe with Archie. Archie has been around forever. It's a weird comic that has it's like a teenage drama comic, but they've been able to kill their main character. They've had crossovers with the Punisher. They've vampires and supernatural possession. I mean, it's been all over the place, and it's still being published somehow. I don't know where people buy it, but it's still going on. It's
had TV series. Now here's the question though: Is Archie indie?
Well, that's the question. If the definition of indie is not Marvel or DC, then I think it qualifies as indie.
Right, but like it's corporate owned. Like does the original person still own it and call the shots? Like was it sold?
No,
that's a tough one. I don't know the answer to that. I'm asking the chat. Matt, do you have any about?
I'm going to call out ElfQuest.
Yeah.
Oh, that is a good item.
That's one that I remember enjoying, and that was by two people, Wendy and Richard, married couple. They still own the book, and apparently the book is started at Warp Graphics that they owned. Then it went to Marvel. Then it went to DC Comics. Then it went to Dark Horse, and they still own it. And I enjoyed that book as a kid. I thought that was super cool, like these elves riding wolves and stuff. I thought that was rad.
Yeah, it had a lot of they had wolves, they had trolls, but they were different. You know, it wasn't just Tolkien elves,
and it wasn't just like pixie elves. Like these were like legit warriors and stuff.
Yeah, they were barbarians.
Yeah.
And then when they met humans, humans are like cavemen, so like that's how far back in the past it is. You know, humans were like just like the same as
Frog
Gorilla for
Nights.
Monkeys, you know.
Yeah.
And one thing I got to give respect for is they got movie deals like 4 or 5 times, and then they turned them down because they were going to change the comic too much. Like they
really cared about those characters. That I mean,
they were dying to get a movie, but they will not compromise, and that I got to admire.
They just had a post on Twitter today. I saw that they were in talks to do a cartoon, and then something about they wanted some other character to have the lodestone or something. So they're like, nope. It's like, well,
they're just gonna have to finance it themselves. They're gonna have to go on Kickstarter and finance I don't know, like a CGI maybe, or I don't know, like Pixar it, or would you want to see that Pixar or Cell?
I want to see old-fashioned Disney hand-drawn 2-dimensional animation. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Because I'm an old fart. We'll get back to Valerian. I don't know anything about Valerian, so if anybody can teach me about it.
Well, the other thing I want to say about I think they're Wendy and her husband Panini. I always want to say Panini like the sandwich, even though it's not right. Pini?
P-I-N-I, Pini. Wendy Pini.
Okay. And the thing is, she's like a real interesting character. And it really makes me wonder, what would it have been like if she came out with her comic first in like 2018 when everything was funding online? Because the way she funded it originally is she dressed up in a red Sonya chainmail bikini outfit, and she would go to Comic-Cons and to gaming conventions. And that's how ElfQuest got started. She would sell them to horny nerds. And it's like, oh my God, if she was here, in 2018 in the YouTube age, making the rounds on the shows, like what would that have been like?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
The comic possibly could have been funded by OnlyFans.
Yeah, you never know.
Well, would she have been canceled for being too sexy?
2018, maybe that's possible.
But yeah, she looks exactly like Red Sonja. Back in the day. And you mentioned Warp Comics. That was by Frank Bruner, who was her. Oh, no wonder. Okay, it's funny.
Didn't he do something with Doctor Strange? Did Frank Bruner do something with Doctor Strange?
He drew Doctor Strange for a while. Oh, God. Ladies and gentlemen, do not Google Red Sonja cosplay. Ooh, God. I'm trying to get Wendy Pini. And, oh, my God. I got to remind me to clear my history after that. Ooh.
Would any of you consider heavy metal independent? I mean, it was originally, the original version of it was owned by the National Lampoon Corporation, but I mean,
that's another one that's tough. Like, I mean, as far as it's not Marvel or DC, and they didn't answer to anybody else. Like, it was all their own creations and stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, people would send in stuff.
Yeah, I got to say, my brothers were into that because they were into like the Frank Frazetta artwork and stuff. So they got heavy metal because they like the art. That's like some of my earliest comic is heavy metal, and I couldn't even read it, but it was like naked chicks, and guns, and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was funny. Like in the 90s when Image popped off and everybody was running to Image. Or everybody was, running the comic store to get their newest Image comic book. My father-in-law was managing a property, and somebody had left several long boxes, like 3 long boxes of just heavy metal magazine and Savage Sword of Conan's. So, like, I was just all about those 3 boxes, like all through high school. It was like, man, did you get the new Youngblood? And it's like, I'm reading about Meta Barons, dude. Like, I don't even know what you're talking about. Like, I'm looking at Mobius. I'm not interested in Liefeld at all.
This is Wendy Pini. She would go to comic conventions and she would hang out with Frank Bruner, who would basically dress up like as a Gandalf wizard, and they would get promotion. And he had a couple of characters based on Wendy Pini. Gita is the other one because he couldn't do Red Sonja, and she was like a sci-fi version. All I got to say about this is Richard Pini is a very lucky man. Just look at that, and it is funny because she embraced it. She's like, yeah, Red Sonja is a comic book character, and she's sexy, and that's part of the appeal of the comic. And people are like, it's unrealistic, and she's like, yeah, it is. It's really embarrassing because I met her at a Comic-Con, and I already have every ElfQuest comic, and we just started talking, and she's like you gonna buy something? And I'm like, I have all of these. That happened twice. Once I'm waiting online for somebody else, and the line is so long. I'm in front of Colleen Duran's booth, and I'm a big fan of A Distant Soil. So me, of course, I start talking to her, and she's pushing issue 40, and I already had. I should have just bought it. I'm such a jerk, but it was just like. I was like, I have it already. I bought it already. I have every.
Are you ready to wear that costume, John, for Heroic Tales?
Oh, the one for some reason I'll dress up.
The red Sonja costume. Will you wear
it? I'll tell.
Look at John. His wife is so lucky.
I'll wear that costume and I'll threaten to keep wearing it unless you buy the comic. You buy the comic, I'll change it to something more appropriate.
The chafe.
So, does anybody know anything about this Valerian? I wanted to see the movie, and then everybody told me how bad it was, and I just...
It originated in 1964. It's a bande dessinée, Franco-Belgian comic. It's very interesting. It's pure sci-fi. It's very good. The movie, it's okay. It's you get kind of the base story there.
I appreciated this. I appreciated the movie, but I felt like some of the casting was completely was wrong. Like Valerian, I was like, I'm not feeling this kid. And then the girl, I was like, I'm not feeling. But like all the aliens were awesome. I mean, it was wild to watch on the big screen. I was like, this is nuts. Like this is like Fifth Element finally having computers. You know what I mean? Fifth Element having CGI, and it was like. But yeah, it wasn't that main guy just didn't nail it for me. He didn't feel masculine enough.
But he's a good looking guy, but he's got no charisma.
He was the second Green Goblin, right? The second Harry Osborn, the kid. Yeah.
Oh, him. I'm thinking of somebody else. I'm thinking of I can't even think of his name.
He was in a movie called Chronicle, right? Where they all got powers.
Yeah.
He was like the kid that turned bad.
Oh yeah.
He just seems like a forever high schooler. He's got like a really like young, fresh face, and I wanted Valerian to look a little more tough guy. I don't know.
So that's like all of these. I always say Bene Gesserits from Dune. I can never say what they're called, but these European guys, I guess they are all independents, right? Because these people make them themselves.
Yeah.
And I feel that's what comics are going to be.
So does that mean Tintin? Is that an indie book? Tintin.
Well, I don't think it's made by the same guy anymore. I think it's like a King Syndicate kind of
okay
book now. That kind of same with Asterix. The original people aren't.
That's what I was about to wonder. I was like, what are Asterix?
So, but so John, would you consider a property that is still owned by the creator to be truly independent, or are you talking about? Can it be like an IP that is not owned by the big two? How would you classify that?
See, that's just it. I don't know. Like, is the Spirit, not the Spirit? I meant to say the Phantom, because that's owned by I can't.
Syndicate.
Yeah, and they license it out. So is that independent? No, it's owned by a corporation.
We can't say the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles anymore because they sold out to Nickelodeon.
Yeah, but they were at one for 30 years. They were the best. But what did they say?
They sold out quick. They were like, "Yo, let's make some cartoons." I don't blame them. I don't
blame them. Did they think maybe the shelf life wasn't going to last?
Well, I mean, honestly, who could predict that 40 years later, kids would still love Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? How many comics came and went, within 5 years? So. I can't blame them. They had wives and kids, and
yeah, the Spirit Will Eisner's studio. I mean, it was published into newspaper and stuff, but Will Eisner owned it and controlled it, right? Up until his death, you know.
From what I heard, DC failed to redo the copyright. So from what I've heard, it's passed into the public domain.
Yeah, but
Now,
I'm sure Will Eisner, during the height of Will Eisner, he controlled it. He owned it, even though, like, he told the newspapers, like, this is what we're doing, kind of thing. And you know, so yeah, I guess you're right. That would be independent in a even though it was coming out in the Chicago Tribune. Was that where it started?
Yes.
I find a debate whether or not Ghost Machine would be considered indie. That's a good one. What do you guys think? Is Ghost Machine independent?
I'd like to say, I'd like to add the Max. Very, very. It should have been bigger. Sam Keith, may rest in peace. That was one of the best early, certainly one of the most unique of the early Image titles. And it told a whole story. It wasn't like Spawn, which keeps going and going and going and stop doing it. I don't even know what's going on with Spawn, or The Dragon, which sort of became a porno book, a political porno book at this point, you know. The Max told a story. It was like, what, 36 issues, 37 issues. It told it, you know, it had a beginning and a middle and an end. And it was
he ended it on his terms?
Yes.
And it's funny because whenever I talk Max with people, we all talk about it as if we read different books. Like it was a difficult book to read. You know, like, oh, I didn't get that. You got that. I didn't get that. I got this. Really, you know what I mean? Now I want to go back and reread it. But I was asking, the Ghost Machine, like, is that? I would consider that independent, right? That's Jeff Jones and Jeff Johns, and he does what he wants through Image.
I guess.
Yeah. It was 60 issues.
He owns it, sure. I mean, Flaming Carrot, like Bob Burton, he owns that. He owns that character. He controls that character and is still producing stuff with him.
I gotta say,
Mystery Men, you know.
When Flaming Carrot first came out, I was working in a comic book store in New York, and like that was the comic that we showed other people how stupid comics were. And then all of a sudden I felt really guilty, and I said I should actually read this comic before I make fun of it. And I was cracking up. It was legit funny, you know. So if Matt, you know Matt Bob Bird, I feel like I owe him an apology. You know what I mean? For like a year or two of making fun of that comic, but it's funny.
Yeah, he's funny.
Yeah, it's
very dry, dude. Like he'll be talking, and you're like listening, and all of a sudden he'll like crack a joke, and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
you know?
That's the way the comic was. Like you're like, wait a minute, okay. Oh,
like we'll be on the phone, and he'll like start talking about Trump, and then suddenly switch and like start talking about something else, and draw, and it's just the funniest shit. And then he'll start talking about Trump again.
Oh, is he like a Trump derangement guy or
no, not at all. Not
at
all. I mean, he's not a trumpet, but he's definitely, he's definitely not against Trump. You know, he's. I would say he's conservative leaning.
Did you guys ever read Fleming, World's Toughest Milkman?
Hell yes.
Chuck Dixon recommended it, and I read it, and I didn't want to say anything, but I hated it. Like I was like, this is the most despicable character. I just hate this character. There's nothing to like, and I want to go back and read more. I think it got me. I think that was the hook. Is he's the most despicable character, but it's like every day he just wants to get home and watch his soap opera, and the gag is the main character's been in a coma for 20 years, and he doesn't want to miss the episode when he wakes up. So like he's crashing into cars and fighting with people and stuff like that to watch this. And now I want to know if that guy ever wakes up. Like I think he got me. I'm gonna go and get the other issues, and I couldn't stand it when I was reading it. But like I think I'm gonna hate read it.
They were gonna make a movie about that, and it was gonna star Bill Murray.
Oh, I'm sorry, you got muted. What did you say?
I'm sorry. They were going to make a movie about that in the early '90s. It was going to have Bill Murray in it. He was going to be Fleming. Yeah.
Talk about it, Bill Murray. I freaking love that guy. And then lately, I don't know what it is, but I can't stand him. Like, I just find him like he's up. Chevy Chase, I've always hated, but I've always liked Bill Murray. And lately, I'm like, I don't like Bill Murray. There's some. I bet you there's going to be some horrible stories to come out about him. Oh, Scud! I forgot about Scud. Yeah, Stan Sakai, Usagi Yojimbo, man, that is one of my favorite comics. Oh my god, I avoided that for the longest time.
Ninja bats,
cute animals, but once I started buying it, I went and bought all the only Usagi Yojimbo issue I'm missing is his first appearance, and it's like $10,000. So I don't think I'm going to be getting that one anytime soon. But it teaches you a lot about Japanese history. Like it the last page he has like an essay. This was drawn from this myth and this this story, and then it gives you like things to read about. And I've been reading about Japanese history, and then the next issue will involve like yokai and spirits. So then you'll read about Japanese mythology. It is such a good book.
Is he doing a new one where it's like 1984 or something? It almost looks like a Akira style, it almost looks like Neo Tokyo kind of vibe to the new one. It's supposed to be like the great grandson of
Space Usagi.
Yeah, that looks kind of dope.
Yeah, he has Space Usagi. He has a it's like a descendant. He's like a.
I remember having a toy from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles line. They had Yosaki Yojimbo on there.
I'm looking over there because I got the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, and it's like one person plays like Shredder, and then the 4 people play the Turtles. But you could be Usagi Yojimbo or Casey Jones or whatever the character. Mm-hmm. But I only play that when there's 5 people because everybody's got to be a turtle. You don't want to play just 3 turtles. That makes no sense. What? Chuck Dixon loves his hateful dirtbag characters. Flashman's biggest fan. The funky Flashman. That's DC. That was Kirby taking the piss out of Kirby. That was Kirby making fun of Stan Lee, right?
And his assistant House Roy. That was him making fun of Roy Thomas.
Yeah, I heard about that. That he kept calling Roy Thomas kid. Mm-hmm. And it would just drive Roy Thomas crazy. His branching out with other artists and a lame anime. Yeah, this Usagi Yojimbo cartoon. I was livid watching it. I was all excited. Me and my wife watched it, and like I when it was over, I'm like, I'm never watching another episode of this again. She liked it because she didn't know anything about the characters, But I wanted to see feudal Japan, samurai.
There was a cartoon on Netflix?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't either.
I almost want to hate it now. I almost want to see it and get as mad as you.
Well, you'd like it because you like Space Usagi.
I mean, not necessarily. I liked reading it, and like learning feudal Japan stuff. I always thought I was like kind of learning something as I was reading it, but like you are. But I just mentioned that I saw like an ad for the new Yosaki Yojimbo that's like a modern Tokyo guy with like a racing jacket on, but I didn't know they had like a space cartoon though.
Yeah, and then they blended like weird CGI. I just didn't like it.
Weird.
Yeah. Let me know if anybody watches it and likes it. I didn't like it.
Has anybody mentioned Love and Rockets?
Oh, we didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Love and Rockets was it was issue 43, I think. It's one of my favorite covers of all time. Where I'll get and I just saw that cover, and it was just in that comic book store. It was for adults only, so it was on the raised shelf behind the counter. You know what I mean? So keep it away from kids. And I just would look at that cover, and it just got me. And then I bought that, and then I went and bought all the issues. And I loved Love and Rockets, but I gotta say the last year or so is I'm only buying it because I'm a crazy person, but it's like porn. It's like a porn comic now. I'll find the cover that I really like. What do you guys think of Love and Rockets?
I remember seeing it in the comic book store, but I didn't read it or pick it up.
Never was my thing.
Never really read it.
Yeah.
I loved it because I love all the like magical realism, like 100 Years of Solitude and like Water for Chocolate and everything. That South American genre that I don't know if it's
Water for Chocolate. Is that a movie?
Yeah, it's a movie, but it was a book. It like 100 Years of Solitude is one of my favorite novels of all time. It's just it's why can't I think of the name? Love in the Time of Cholera is another one, but put
that has fantasy. There's magic in that movie.
Magical realism. So it's just like it in 100 years or so. Yeah, in like Water for Chocolate, the good-looking guy looks at the woman, and she's so flattered by him that she immediately starts lactating because, like, you know what I mean. She thinks about being a mother, and you know what I mean. Once
Is that the movie with Johnny Depp and they're making chocolate in like a town? Or is that something different? No, where she's like all hot and bothered, and she's making candy for the whole town, and everybody's eating their candy, and then they get in
everybody falls in love. Yeah,
wasn't that Chocolat?
Chocolat. That's a different movie.
I think me and Yang are on the same page.
Yeah, I think
we're Chocolat. I maybe like Water for Chocolate. I haven't seen yet,
but there's a whole bunch of these magical realism, and that's what Love and Rockets is supposed to be like. Just it's this town in Mexico, and like everybody's a crazy character, and the weird things just happen, and it's really charming. It starts out they're space mechanics, and they're superheroes in the first 3 or 4 issues, and then slowly that stuff gets phased out, and it's about punk rock girls in Southern California, Hopi and why can't I think of the other one? Hopi and Maggie, and then it's the other brother does the stories of just a life in a town, and then all of a sudden, like 10 years later, they bring back the superheroes and space mechanics. So I don't know what to think. It's almost like they disregard their continuity. So Yang said he has to go. Anything you want to say before you leave?
Yeah, go find Heroic Tales 3 and the Patriarch number 1.
Yep. Hey, Patriarch number 1 and 2 is still available. I'm working on the King Fu Christmas special.
Yeah, I saw the previews. That looked pretty cool.
So this is the cover of this is my favorite cover of any comic book of all time. Bye. This was to me. I'm interested, Matt, what you have to say about this. I've never seen a comic like a stagnant.
At first, I'm like, what's up with her anatomy? But then I like it. I like I like everything about it.
Like they're moving. Doesn't it almost trip?
It looks like they're moving. Yeah, totally. He's got the movement. I love the boots. I like this guy he's got like a dad bod going on, you know, and she's thick. It's interesting. It's very realistic, I think.
Yeah, I was fascinated by this. Like, this was a comic I wouldn't touch because there was no superheroes in this. There was no laser beams and stuff, even though there was. I just didn't know it. And I saw this cover and I couldn't stop looking at it. And then I, of course, flipped through it. Then I read it. And this was 44. The comic ended at issue 50. So I went back and I bought all the back issues. And of course, I didn't read them until I got number 1 and then read. And I got to say, the first 3 issues are a real slog. And then all of a sudden, there's a story called Heartbreak Soup, and that like crystallizes the comic. And it's about everybody in this town that they're suffering from heartbreak. And this one, she's really, really short, and she makes heartbreak soup. And if you eat the soup, it cures your heartbreak. It's like the first trade paperback. If you get the trade paperback of Heartbreak Soup, you'll see it's Gilbert. And I really there's like 150 characters and each one have stories. And now it's just the main character, Fritzy, her and her daughter make porno, and it's just porn. It's so bad. But the other story, Maggie, who was a teenager at the beginning, she's grown up now and she's a school teacher, and it's interesting. So I'm just like, I just feel like saying, like, come on, Gilbert, just move on. Just move on. I don't know. Yeah, Woe Nelly is about the female wrestlers in Mexico and Texas. I didn't know anything about that whole culture until I read that Woe Nelly. And I kind of got fascinated. When I was living in Albuquerque, I was watching the Mexican wrestling, the luchadores, and then the female circuit. And there was like a whole Tex-Mex culture. That's where Selena came from. And she was like the first one to break out. But and in Albuquerque, some of the, regular TV, this was before cable, this was the 90s. Some of the channels were from Mexico, some of the channels were from Texas, and then some of the channels were, networks from all over the country. And the Texas ones, they would have like just shows of people who travel that circuit, like Selena, before she got famous. But there was a girl called Tony, maybe this is before your time, Priscilla, and the Silver Bullets, and she was a girl with a cowboy hat. She wore a pink hat, and she played the accordion, and she had braces. And every time she came out, she would just play, and then the band would be in the back. And my friend Jeff and I, we would watch this. We were like, "This is so bad." And then, like, after a month, we're just like, Priscilla's on. We just like fell in love with the music. There was another band called Sparks, and it was like the Mexican version of the Spike.
I know that one. Mm-hmm.
And each one, there were sisters, and they looked like 3D printed models. They were like the same girl but different ages. They were beautiful. So yeah, I'm forgetting that you're from Albuquerque. You know exactly what I'm talking about. All of this.
Yeah, it's still like that now. The channels and all that. Nothing's really changed on that.
You probably have more options now with all the cable and everything. Yeah. I remember my girlfriend at the time, she used to watch a Mexican soap opera, but it was originally from Brazil. So it was Portuguese dubbed into Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't even speak Spanish, but she loved the costumes there because it was set during like the slave years in Portugal. I forget, it was the girl, she was a slave, but she was like seducing everybody and working her way into like getting people to kill each other and everything. We would watch this having no idea what the hell they were saying. Which has nothing to do with indie comics, but I just like going off on tangents.
I looked up First Comics because I was like, that sounds so familiar.
Which comic?
First Comics, the company.
Okay.
I was like, that sounds so familiar. And like, dude, it's got American flag, Nexus, right. Badger, Dreadstar. I was like, oh yeah, like I remember a lot of these. I forgot that they were First Comic.
Yeah, I think Eclipse Comics came out first, and then First Comics. And I remember I was like obsessed with, I got to get everything by Comico. Didn't last too long. But Comico was the first non-Marvel or DC company I just became obsessed with because of Bill Williams' Elementals. And that had Mike Gustavich's Justice Machine, Troll Lords, Fish Lords, a whole bunch of weird comics. They didn't let. Grendel and Mage came from Comico.
Grendel.
Yeah. And then First Comics, Howard Chaykin's American Flag. Oh my God, was that a good comic? That was I found that to be a difficult comic to read. I feel bad, but I always bring up Howard Chaykin as like his storytelling is bad. Like every image was just like, this is just a cool drawing, but it doesn't connect to this drawing. There's like no connective tissue. But
the thing about Howard Chaykin that used to bug me was beautiful art, but all the faces looked the same. And it was really hard to differentiate, at least for me as a kid, between who was who,
Yeah.
So I just sort of concentrated on the hair color, the way, the hairstyle. That's how I was able to tell them apart.
When he did Marvel Comics, he did Dominic Fortune, and it was every character had his face.
Mm-hmm.
It had Howard Chaykin's. Oh, Matt, you got to go?
Yeah, my wife was looking at me. I got a boogie.
Okay. I was just going to ask you if you ever
Nice to meet you, Tony.
Nice to meet you.
Do you know each other? I just assumed you. This is Tony. He's just on my channel every Friday night. Matt Barr, Tony.
Pleased to meet you, sir.
Tony is an encyclopedia of comics. It's a pleasure to talk to him.
Dope. Because I'm generals. I'm generalities of comics. I know a little bit of comics. I've remembered seeing everything, but yeah.
Matt, did you ever meet Howard Chaykin when you were at the?
No.
He wasn't one of your teachers.
I didn't really like you guys. There was something about his art I didn't really like it, so I never really like sought to meet him. If that makes sense, Like, oh my God, it's Howard. He's right over there. No, that I saved that for like Michael Golden and shit. Like, holy fuck, Michael Golden.
You met Michael Golden?
Yeah. I mean, I had to.
Was he as crotchety as people say?
He was just whatever. I mean, it was just like he was just there at the table. Like it wasn't anything cool. Like Jim Steranko was like super energetic and like talkative and stuff. But yeah, Michael was just like, "Are you gonna buy something?" I'm just kind of sitting here. He wasn't ready.
I could see talking to Steranko and he probably hit on your wife or something. Like.
Well, I was like working. I was there with another artist. I don't want to just start dropping names, but I was there helping another artist, and he had a table right next to Jim's, right? So I was, hey Jim, do you need anything? Like, I'm gonna go get some drinks. Do you need anything? And he was like, yeah, 2 redheaded go-go girls. I'll see what I can do, bro.
The guy's like 80 years old. He still has his pompadour. He looks like he's gonna sell you a car in Texas.
Dude, he had the sharpest suit on. And like when we went, we like after we like did the con, we were like out on the streets and stuff, and it was just like a bunch of us just kind of orbiting Jim, and they were just like, "Are you guys security for this guy? Like who is this guy?" It was pretty funny.
Yeah, he's like a cartoon character himself.
Yeah. He's like at one point he was like a cat burglar and then like a escape artist. Like he has like this whole insane life. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, he is that character. Do you ever read the book The Escapist?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think what the hell's the name of the book? It's not called the Escapist, but The Escapist is the character.
Cavalier and Clay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Cavalier and Clay.
Cavalier and Clay, the event. Yeah. Jim Steranko is the character The Escapist is based on, and Cavalier and Clay are like weird versions of mish between Will Eisner, Jack Kirby, and Stan Lee. Great book. If you're a comic book fan, read Cavalier and Clay. It is phenomenal. It's almost unfilmable. It's just weird. But anyway,
all right, man.
Miracle, you got
to see you guys later.
Matt, it's always a pleasure. Don't be a stranger. Whenever you want, you come in.
Yeah, totally. Peace.
Yeah, Matt. That's Matt Barr. He's the artist of Rock and Roll Ninja. It's so good. Ninja.
Oh, they were really nice people.
I'm sorry?
They were really nice people. Good to meet them.
Yeah, Yang is one of my earliest guests. Matt came on a long time ago, and we just started talking about punk rock. I was like, "Oh, you're from New York? You're from I'm older than him, but I was like, "You ever go to CBGs?" And boy, man, it was just like we couldn't talk fast enough. Talking about all these old punk bands. He lived in Manhattan. I was a bridge and tunnel punk, as they called us. Because we took the bridge or the tunnel to get to Manhattan, and then we went to our suburban homes after the punk rock shows. So, yeah, we got teased, but you know what? We didn't become drug addicts. Like all of these punk rockers, these famous punk rockers, they're all like trouble. I had a nice happy family, but I also like punk rock.
Did you ever see the Ramones play, like in person?
I never saw the Ramones because I took them for granted. I was always like, oh, I could always see them, so I saw somebody else. But I met them. My cousin had a band, the Voodoo Glow Skulls, and they played in Manhattan a few times. So every time they were coming to New York, he would call me, and I'd go see them. And the Ramones were all there to watch the band. And afterwards, he was like, "Hey, John, come on backstage." I met Joey Ramone, and I met them all, but I've never seen them play. Yeah, the Lost Ramone. Like Joey Ramone said, I wish I had all the money I spent on drugs. But I so many times my friends are like, we're gonna go see the Ramones. I'm like, no, I'm gonna go see Mudhoney because I could always see the Ramones, and then they died. And I
was the same way. I saw them once. They were opening up for Pearl Jam of all things. But I was like, I left after their set because I didn't like Pearl Jam. But I had to go see the Ramones once.
My friend moved to Seattle, and I forget what it's called, but they have a music festival, and they tried to have like odd pairings of the bands, and he saw the Ramones opening up for Mel Torme.
Wow.
He goes, I don't know who was better. Mel Torme or the Ramones. And he said the Ramones were like starstruck to talk to Mel Torme.
Well, of course, he's Mel Torme.
Yeah.
I'm
also starstruck to talk to T-Bunny. Oh, he's circling. Well, when he shows up, I'll put him back in.
I have an interesting Mike Golden story. Well, it's kind of a stupid one. I took my brother's Danzig album for him to sign, and he signed it, and he was like, pissed me off that I'm not getting a cut of this. So then I saw him a few years later in the same convention, and he was selling shirts with the Danzig skull, but underneath where it said Danzig, it says Golden, but written in the same kind of font. And I bought one of those. I have it somewhere in the closet. I was like, oh,
Awesome.
man.
You don't know what Tony's talking about. That skull on the first Danzig album was created by Michael Golden on the cover of Sectors.
Crystar, number 8.
Oh, Crystar, the Crystal Warrior. And I didn't know that until Fabrizio Aiello was on my channel. And we did a show where everybody was going to talk about their 5 favorite covers. And he was like, "You recognize?" I'm like, I had no idea. So that's funny that Michael Golden did that. So, hey, T Bunny, how you doing?
Hello.
Oh, he froze. Everybody's having. I'm glad I'm not the only one having bad internet connections tonight. I really got to call Optimum Online tomorrow. This is ridiculous. You hear T Bunny? Nope, he froze again. So, of course, I was saving it up. I do think Nexus is probably one of the best independent comics of all time. I would say Nexus for everything that followed. Cerberus, because to me, Cerberus, it was the do-it-yourself mentality that was like big in the 80s. I know I'm old fart man over here, but that was big in the punk rock days, was do-it-yourself, DIY. Like Minor Threat and those guys, they formed their own record label. They built a house. They all lived together so they would have a studio. You know, I loved all that stuff. And then I remember there was like a DIY movement in Boston, and all those punk bands kind of did the same. I don't know if they did that in LA or San Diego, but it in the 80s, it was all do it yourself. And Cerberus, I think, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles encapsulated do it yourself.
Have you brought up Hellboy? That's it. That's probably the last big one of the independent scene, I think, or followed very closely by Eric Powell's Goon. Though I'm kind of sad to say I haven't been keeping up with that. I liked the beginning of it when it was sort of a comedy book, but then as it continued, it got kind of serious there. It got kind of dark. And I just sort of missed the lightheartedness of the first few issues.
The first 5 issues are like almost completely different than anything else. Like I think Glenn Powell was still formulating who they were. But I will say the Goon is one of the funniest. It's still funny. There's something about it that's just funny. Yeah. And they just did Them That Won't Stay Dead. It was a 5-issue series. He's saying he's getting older now and he doesn't have the energy to do a monthly book anymore. So he'll do like a 5-issue series, then do something else, do 5. And it Them That Won't Stay Dead is awesome. It's still awesome. But he did a hardcover, well, you could get it soft cover, called The Wicker Man.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no humor in it at all, and it is heartbreaking. So this guy is one of my favorite artists. He's a phenomenal writer, and he does the impossible. Within one story, he could get you like teary-eyed and then laughing at the insanity. Like Frankie, his sidekick, is just comedy relief. You know, stab an eye. You know, he's always Frankie's always just trying to get laid and drink. And the Goon, he's just suffering. Like one of my favorite issues is like this like succubus just comes in and she's just like sashaying through the bar and everybody's looking at her and Frankie's like, I'm gonna get me a piece of that. And she's just like a man-eater, just chewing everybody up and spitting them out. And like guys are like crying, you know, she'll talk to him and you don't know what she's saying to him, but she'll like talk, and the guys just like leave crying or whatever. And she sits down next to the Goon and she goes, hey, you know, and she looks at the Goon and the Goon just looks at her and she just goes, I'm sorry. You know, and she goes, I had no idea. You know, and it was just like, because it just showed like the Goon just is the biggest like heartbreak story. And then that led into the Wicker Man, why his heart is broken. It's just so good. Hey, T Bunny, how's everything going?
I think that's better.
You losing weight?
No, unfortunately.
No? Well, then the camera is slimming. You got yourself a good filter.
There you go. There you go.
How you going, Cooper? How's everything?
Doing all right. Just hanging out.
You finally made it to a Friday night because we ended up talking so long.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry. How long have you been here?
Well, almost 2 hours.
Oh
But
no.
it's okay. I'm not working tomorrow. This overtime starts next week. That's what they promised us.
There you go.
And while I'm here, I might as well push tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'm going to do the next Avengers Assemble, the next issue, and then Sunday at 10 a.m. the next X-Men. We're right in the middle of the Hellfire Club. I think the next issue is that Wolverine stands alone issue.
Gotcha. I do have a few candidates for your pile.
Please, by all means.
All right. I think she has to be brought up.
Billy Tucci, she good one. That's a good one.
Mainly because he was one of the very first crowdfunding comics completely from outside of the system, and she kind of crawled so we can fly. I'll always acknowledge she as being definitely the or at least the godfather of all of us in the indie scene. Also, in terms of significance, I also have to bring up Lady Death and Brian Pulido, what he's doing.
Yeah, Brian Pulido was the first I've ever heard of crowdfunding.
Definitely important.
I thought he was a crazy person for doing it. Lo and behold, I'm doing it now too.
Completely from outside. He actually created the Kickstarter model. He's really
and he's
basically like I think he's done work for the bigger comic book companies, but for the most part, Coffin, I think it's Coffin Comics. Is that his imprint?
I think so.
But yeah, you definitely have to put him in there. The greatest crowd-funded indie comic that I've ever seen is Shadowpunk.
Yeah, you recommended that, and then he's been on my channel. He's a great guy too.
Yeah, Matthew Simonik.
Did he come out with
what's that?
Did he come out with issue 2 yet?
Yeah, he just crowdfunded issue 2.
Oh, I missed it. Oh man.
Yeah, it was on. I think it was on Fund My Comic first. I think he's going to other platforms.
I gotta see. I enjoyed the first issue.
Well, Shadowpunk art wise is so unique. Story wise is razor sharp. Such a distinctive world, and he operates like very, very like perfect within his world that he's created, and his characters are just amazing. His little girl boss, Shadowpunk, is she'll break your heart because she's a little girl. He writes her as a legitimate little girl. She does goofy little girl things, and she's in a world just designed to crush her. And she finds a way to be spunky, and he show you how dedicated he is. He created a 9-minute 3D animated movie on his own to go with the comic. It's a prequel to the comic. And if you watch that animated movie and then read the comic, it's got even more of a punch.
Okay.
But you don't have to watch it, but it's but the 3D animated movie it'll blow your mind that that some amateur guy did this because it looks professional. I mean, he said he spent 2 weeks on getting her hair to blow in the breeze right. 2 weeks. And he actually had to recast one of his voices because he used his stepfather as one of the voices, and he passed away before the movie was done. but it took him almost 3 years of rendering on his own time, 9 minutes, and it's just to sell this comic, and he also does 3D modeling and things like that, but. The comic, it's one of the only comics that has ever impacted me so much that I literally sat there stunned after I read the end of it. Just because I'd watched the movie, and then the end of that first comic is just
I forgot that there was a movie.
punch.
It's on YouTube. If you put the link in the private chat, I'll put the public chat for people.
Yeah, it's on his channel.
Yeah, I got to get issue 2. I didn't.
All right. Unfortunately, he'll only sell his comic. Got an active campaign.
Okay. So keep me posted for issue number 3 because
that's to get him.
You're cutting out, Cooper. I'm sorry.
There you go. Right.
Unicorn Ultranationalist says, I suppose Battle Pope and The Walking Dead are considered indie. I forgot about The Walking Dead. Would everybody consider that an independent comic?
I just remembered, now you mentioned Walking Dead, I just remembered something, Dead World. Does anybody remember Dead World?
Yeah, that's all.
Dead World was the first zombie comic. And in its day, it was quite popular, but what it's known mainly for is the debut for Vince Locke, the man that later would write, illustrate the history of violence, and did a really good series of covers for Cannibal Corpse. That was a very, very, very good zombie comic. I completely forgot about it.
Was Dead World, was that First Comics?
That was Arrow, and then it moved to First, then it became Image, and then it sort of just died. I mean, The Walking Dead sort of crushed it. Everyone knows The Walking Dead. Very few people remember Dead World.
I remember Dead World. But do you consider Walking Dead an indie comic?
Well, who owns it? Kirkman?
Yeah, Kirkman, yeah. So I guess...
Yeah, I guess, sure.
I got to say, Battle Pope was the first comic I love The Walking Dead. I know other people, whatever, and I loved Invincible. I liked Tech Jacket. I liked everything he did. So I went and I tracked down all the Battle Pope comics, and I got to say, I quit. I think there's 12 issues, and I think I read 7 of them. It is just, hey, look at me. I'm an edgy freshman who hates Christianity. I'm gonna make like the Pope is, a bad guy, and Jesus is an idiot, and Saint Michael. I was like, oh, really? Why don't you? You want to be brave? Make Battle Jew, or make Battle Muslim. Like I'm real tired of all of these edgy, like the band Bad Religion. Do they have any songs that say anything bad about Islam or Judaism or Hinduism? It's just like I'm mad at my father. I'm a freshman from college, and I'm gonna take a basic angry, and they use big words, and it sounds, oh my God, these guys are so. But when you take the music away and you analyze what they're saying, that they're not saying anything. But anyway, that's how I feel about Battle Pope. Okay, so you got the link. Cool. So this is the link. I'm gonna check this out. I forgot about this. I gotta watch this.
Mm-hmm.
So here you go. This is the link to the animated movie for the prequel to the Shadowpunk comic.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make a poll for what do you think is the best independent, just because we got this now in StreamYard, so I'm going to use all the toys that I paid for. So I'm making a poll called, what just happened? Media assets. Where did it go? Okay.
Ooh, the Crow, John. I forgot about him. The Crow.
Oh, the Crow.
Oh man, how could I forget one of the best movies of the 90s?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what should I? So I'll put the Crow as option 1. Option 2, I'm going to put Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What other options should I put in? I can't see the chat while I'm doing this, so if you see anybody say anything in the chat, let me know.
Cowboy, Walking Dead.
The Cerberus Count.
Yeah, Walking Dead. I'll definitely put Cerebus. Whether you like it or not, I think you can't. I know it's spelled wrong, and I'm spelling Cerebus.
You can't have an independent list without him.
Right. So I got 4 choices: The Crow, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I think it's CEREBUS. I think.
Yeah, I think so. So there you go. That's the poll. So there you go. You just type in the number and we'll come up with the best, and then we'll do a poll of what to do for next week. So let's start thinking about what would be a good topic for next week. I kind of want to get back to heroes fighting, but
okay, how about this? Wonder Woman versus Thor.
Wonder Woman versus Thor?
Yeah.
What do you guys think? We'll toss them out. We'll make another poll after 5 or 6 minutes of this. Wonder Woman versus Thor. I know we did some. Invincible is hot right now. Invincible is like the Superman versus the Homelander.
Yeah, that's Boys. That's from Homelander's from the Boys, I think.
Right. Yeah. So we have Homelander versus Invincible versus Superman.
Yeah.
How about Homelander and Omni-Man fight, and then whoever wins fights Superman?
This one comes up. We did Conan versus Tarzan already.
Yeah,
we did that. That was a fun one. Tony pretty much, that was the Tony show, that episode.
Yeah, when it first came on. Yeah, that was one of the first ones I did.
Yeah, and if I remember, Conan he's the fighter.
How about Alan Quartermain versus Indiana Jones?
Oh, that's a good one. And then maybe throw in my favorite, the one that inspired them both, was Sir Richard Burton, who may or may not make an appearance in Heroic Tales at some point.
I got Cerebus versus Usagi Ojimbo.
Oh, Usagi.
They're both swordsmen.
That's right. I forget, the first 20 issues, he was an amazing swordsman. Yeah.
Or did you already do the Shadow versus the Punisher?
I think we did the Shadow versus Punisher.
Uh-huh.
I think we did Shadow versus everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about Remo Williams versus Shang-Chi?
Oh, that's a good. Warlord versus John Carter.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah. That is a really good one. Omni-Man strong, but not Superman strong, and they both blow Homelander out of the water. You're not supposed to answer these until the show. There's no point of a show then if you answer them now.
Good one.
Here's a weird one, John, that not many people would know. In fact, I'd be very surprised if anyone in the chat would know. Are you familiar with
the real scary one in Invincible?
You guys are both talking at the same time, and it's coming out all jumbled. So Cooper, you talk, and then Tony will talk.
Sorry.
It's okay. So go ahead, Cooper. It's your turn.
Never mind.
Okay, Tony, what were you going to say?
Midnight. Does anybody remember him?
Yeah, he was like another spirit type character.
Yeah, he was a spirit clone, purposely made for Quality Comics because they lost the rights to use the spirit. How about the Midnight versus the Spirit? They're pretty much the same character.
Yeah.
That one probably wouldn't get too many votes because nobody knows Midnight, really.
Midnight. Oh, maybe I didn't say this, but type a number in the chat, and that's how we do the poll. So one for the Crow, 2 for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, type a 3 for Walking Dead, 4 for Cerebus. And I was going to do 5 other, but it only gives me 4 choices. No argument with multi-generational cultural impact. That's a good point. That's a really good point. I think we could all agree that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had a multi-generational impact, right? I mean, little kids are still playing little kids are still getting nunchucks and running around. And there's 2 kids that live next door to me. I don't know which kid is more ADHD than the next. But there's a kid across the street that he just screamed at the top of his lungs. Little blue-eyed blonde kid. John, how you doing, John? Come over and play. Screaming at the top. I love this kid. I wish I had his energy. And then next door to me is an Asian kid. Just screams. He calls me Santa Claus. Santa Claus. Ah! So I come home the other day, and they're on the lawn. The poor mother's doing yard work, and these two kids are just screaming with nunchucks playing Ninja Turtles. And these kids are like 5 years old. And this comic came out when? In 1980?
84.
84. I mean, geez, think about that. You know, that's like 40 years ago.
It's very toyetic. I first encountered the property when I was a kid in 1988. My mom bought me one of my first action figures was all four Ninja Turtles, and I've always equated them more with the cartoon show and the Playmates toy line. I went back and I read the books when I was in middle school, but I was I saw them more as a toy line, really. I mean, when I was a kid. But yeah, those original books are quite dark, quite mature, very good. Yeah, they're definitely not the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Heroes in a Half Shell. They're definitely not that.
I've talked about this, how I just couldn't stand them because I passed up on the first issue. So out of spite, I just doubled down. And then everybody kind of shamed me. You make a comic book show and you don't like the Turtles, you don't read the Turtles. So I started reading them. I really like it. And then the movie just was re-released last year. And I told my wife, you want to go see it? She got excited because I haven't seen it since I saw it in the movies. So my wife and I, we went out to dinner. We watched the Turtle movie. And right as soon as the movie was over, she had a big smile on her face. Did you like it? I was like, I freaking loved it. I freaking loved it. And she was so happy that I loved the teenage. It was great. It's probably one of the best comic book movies of all time. The first teenage. Now I got to watch the second one. Is the second one any good?
No. And neither is the third one.
I don't remember very much about it.
The second one was The Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah, that's the one with Vanilla Ice.
Oh, great.
Yeah, he sings the ninja rap.
Oh, great.
No, what I would recommend, John, I know you're probably sick of hearing me say this, but watch The Crow.
Yeah.
Just watch The Crow. Watch the first one, man. That's the only one that's any good. And if it grabs you, I highly recommend the James O'Barr series. If it, that's such a great that whole trope of the undead Avenger. You know, it was old back in the 40s when Bernard Bailey and Jerry Siegel did it for the Spectre, but it works, and that is one of the best uses of that.
Yeah, I gotta watch it. I'm probably gonna read the comic first before I watch the movie. You know, because that's just the way. If I gotta read the source material first before I watch. Although a couple of times I've seen a movie and then it inspired me to read the source material. I'm almost done with the Scarlet Pimpernel. I haven't been reading it the past couple of days, but it's really good. It starts out slow, but it's really picking up. I mean, does anybody mind if I spoil like a 200-year-old novel? But he's the original Secret Identity. Like this man, Sir Blakely. He's a fop. He's super rich, but he's super handsome, and he's well built and everything like that. And he's just a layabout. You know, all he cares about is how do I look and everything like that. But in secret, he's the Scarlet Pimpernel. And I didn't know what a pimpernel is. A British flower. It's a red flower, and people have pimpernel symbols. They have his agents, and he goes and he rescues.
I wonder if that's where pimp come from.
I don't know. I thought the same thing too. I was looking up the origin of the word pimp after the pimpernel. Did pimp wear a flower or something like that? Maybe. Now I got to look more. But I didn't realize that because when I took European history, the aristocrat, the monarchy, they were the bad guys. And now I'm reading the Scarlet Pimpernel, and it's the Republicans, the normal people that are the bad guys. But now as an adult, it was the mob that not the mafia mob, but like the unruly people that took over France. They were just killing people. Just imagine, like they were SJWs. Can you imagine if SJWs could get you murdered? How many people would have been killed in the past 8 years? You know, that's what Barat was. It was an SJW. You put your name in the newspaper, talk bad about you, and the people would drag you out of your house and kill you. And the Scarlet Pimpernel was rescuing the aristocrats. I'm loving it. I'm going to wait till I'm finished with it. Then I want to watch a movie. But it's a lot of fun. But I want to read all of the novels that inspired the superhero.
If you like that one, John, you should read the Russell Thorndike Dr. Sin, A Tale of the Romney Marsh. That one was a good one.
What is that? That's a character himself, Dr. Sin?
Yeah, that was a series of a character from a series of books. He was basically a privateer, but he masqueraded as a parson in a church, and his costume is a scarecrow. In fact, in the 60s, 50s, late 50s, one of the earliest TV shows that Walt Disney produced was with Patrick McGowan, and he played the Scarecrow.
Yeah.
It was one of the greatest shows ever. And Patrick McGowan had the creepiest laugh.
I love Patrick McGowan.
It's so cool.
Right. I love that show, The Prisoner. Talk about a mind show. It's just that show keeps you guessing in every episode of the show. I love that show. So Patrick McGowan, of course, everybody knows him as Longshanks from Braveheart. You know,
Edward the Confessor.
Yeah. I what's the name? Dr. Sin?
Dr. Sin. It's SYNN.
Okay, I got to check this out.
It's spelled funny by
I think the series is called The Scarecrow, though.
Yeah. I'll see if I could find.
Yeah, the Disney series is called The Scarecrow.
Was the novel before the Scarlet Pimpernel, or?
Oh God! Well, they were both about the same time, but that's the first one if you can find it. It's very good.
Because as far as I knew, I always thought the Scarlet Pimpernel invented the whole like secret identity trope.
It was before it, but not by much. And but unlike the Scarlet Pimpernel, this was I think it was a 30-book series. But the way it was written was funny, right? It was written like the way Matt Wagner wrote the Grendel series, meaning in the first book he dies, and then you sort of like it's a series that takes all the adventures that takes place between, him dying.
Oh, I guess he didn't think it was going to be a big hit. Oh, now I got to make up more stories.
sort of the way the original writer for Zorro did. Remember, he didn't think he was Zorro. I think Zorro dies in the first one. And then it's like, okay. Let's retcon that. Here's the rest of the stuff that happened before the last one.
Well, Pimpernel inspired Zorro, and then Zorro inspired Batman.
Right. Yeah. It's a direct line. That's
line.
That's what I'm trying to do is read all of the novels. Like I got, this is the third Tarzan book. I got to say, ladies and gentlemen, I flatter myself thinking that there's even one lady besides my wife watching this. But the Tarzan books are page turners. Man, are they good. The first two, the first book is exactly what you expect Tarzan to be, and it's amazing. The second book, he's a French secret agent recovering jewels. Like, where's Tarzan? And this book is Tarzan, the Beasts of Tarzan. He's back in Africa. And then later on, it's a science fiction book. He's fighting dinosaurs in the center of the earth.
Yeah.
I heard from somewhere that the Edgar Rice Burroughs estate, trying desperately to keep the books relevant and in print, are beginning to take away any offensive material that was placed there. I'm like, don't do that. Please don't do that. That's not good when you do that.
Well, that means they're going to erase like half the books, because in one of the books, it's ladies and gentlemen, it's presentism just drives me nuts when we take present day values and then retroactively put them. Edgar Rice Burroughs was writing in a different world, like a complete, like even the 80s is a different world from now. Just imagine 100 years before the 80s or whatever. But like like there's the red people, there's literally the yellow people, and they're all scientists. Then there's the black people that live on the moon and they raid Mars to steal the women. That book is just going to get vaporized. But it's not, they're just colors. They're not supposed to be taken as indicative of the races on Earth, you know, and knock it off. Like one of my favorite books of all time, the series is The Lensman. Talk about a book that's just sexist, and it's just funny, you know. They travel into space, and their two biggest concerns: do they have enough steaks, and do they have hot secretaries?
Hey, John, have you ever seen the anime of that?
No,
They rewrote everything, but my God, it's beautiful to look at.
yeah,
It really is. It's beautiful.
Name only, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna go on a long flight in space, is it any good unless you have steaks, whiskey, cigars, and hot chicks? Literally, that's what they were worried about stocking the ships with. I love it. Now you got me curious, Unicorn. I want to. When I finish reading this, I'm going to ask you what was your favorite scene. You guys read H.G. Wells?
Yes.
I've read some.
Did you read War of the Worlds?
Yes.
War of the Worlds.
Not enough.
That would yes. It has one of my favorite scenes of all time. The scene where the main character in the house.
I listened to the. Yeah.
There's
I listened to the play.
He's in the house with the priest, and the Martians are outside scanning, looking for people, and the priest is starting to freak out, and he's starting to make noise, and he's starting to freak out, and the main character kills him, strangles him to death. Just, oh my God, my heart was racing. Like I've never seen that in any of the movies, and it's terrifying.
You kind of saw a version of that in the Tom Cruise one, remember, with Susan Sarandon's ex-husband. Remember, he was the creepy guy with the axe. Remember, thank you. And Tom Cruise ends up killing him because he's like freaking out and making the Martians notice. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they did put it. I saw that movie. I saw that in the movies, and I don't know. I liked it, but I didn't like it. You know, it was too different than the novel.
The happy ending came out of nowhere.
I'm going to end this poll, so I guess we're going to say Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Of course.
And what do you think we should do for next week? I'm going to put up another poll. New poll. Next week.
Does anybody do the Hulk versus Superman?
I think that was an earlier one.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna put Invincible. I can't spell versus Homelander versus Superman, and of course we can add in Omni-Man to that too. So that what was another one? You said what? Oh, John Carter.
I said Indiana Jones versus Alan Quartermain.
John Carter versus Warlord. I'll put that in the.
And I said Thor versus Wonder Woman, or Thor versus Captain Marvel, or Captain Marvel versus Wonder Woman.
Cooper, say it again. I got so many words in my head. I forgot.
Indiana Jones versus Alan Quartermain.
There you go. I could talk about that one for Indiana Jones. I'm spelling it wrong. And the last one we'll put Thor versus Wonder Woman. Just playing with all the things I got. And remember, you just put the number in the chat, and this will be what we do next week. I wanted to get back to these characters fighting. You know, that's how I envisioned this show. Although I don't mind going off on all these like abstract topics. That's a lot of fun too. So there we go. We got Homelander versus Superman versus Invincible. We got John.
I've got an interesting one. How about Scorpion from Mortal Kombat versus the Crow?
That's good, but I already got the poll up. Yeah. Scorpion versus Mortal Kombat. Scorpion versus Snake Eyes.
Well, Snake Eyes is not like an immortal avenging his own death.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Immortal Avengers. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, Scorpion's avenging his own death, and so is the Crow, and they're both supernatural. So
Okay.
that's why.
Earlier, T Bunny mentioned She, and that reminded me of another one I used to like. John, do you remember David Max Kabuki?
Yeah.
That was a good one. God, that part was beautiful.
Yeah, my friend Jan, he was trying to break into comics. He just loved that, and he did what a lot of people do. He met a girl, they fell in love, and she told him to get rid of all of his comics. So I benefited from that. So I got a big pile of Kabuki comics that he collected. And Gunsmith Cats, which I've never read. A lot. He collected a lot of weird comics. Yeah, so that's why I said I got like 20 boxes of comics I haven't read yet because I just seem to have absorbed people's collections. Like, I'm kind of done with this. You take them. But yeah, Dave Max Kabuki, beautiful. He did covers for Daniel for a while.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, only 2 people vote. We're in a tie there. I'm only going to vote to break a tie. Arkham, you got anybody? Anything you want to say? We got 50 people watching. Come on, let's all vote. So, what else is new? I'm just waiting for the poll to.
Have you seen the new Absolute Penguin, John? God, that thing is stupid. He's all squished up. He's got a pair of crutches that are machine guns. He doesn't even carry the umbrella. It looks ridiculous.
I'm looking him up. Absolute Penguin.
And the Absolute Two-Face he looks like the singer from a Swedish black metal band. It's just these designs are terrible. These designs are just, I don't know how the hell that line is selling the numbers that they say it is. You'd have to be a complete brain dead. Sorry. I just don't understand how it's selling as much as it is.
I'm not going to insult. Like I said, I'm of 2 minds with the Absolute line. I'm glad that it's bringing people into the comic book stores because the comic book stores need a shot in the arm. They need a boost. So on that level, I'm happy that anything is selling. But I said it a million times. I just think a reimagined of Batman is a cheat, but it's selling. So what do I know? Maybe so good for the comic book stores. I'm trying to stay positive, but yeah, I don't like the redesigns. I at some point are they not the characters anymore? Like it's the ship of Theseus. How many things do you replace before it's not the same ship anymore?
I just think that they're inflating the numbers. There is no way this book can be doing that well. It's probably a bunch of comic book shop owners just trying to buy a bunch of issues to get the one variant issue or something. There's just I can't. I've read it. I've read the first 2 volumes of it, and it's so, gosh, it's so different. It's practically not even Batman. I don't even know what it is.
Let me put it this way: if I think if they made a movie, Absolute Batman, and just called it Batman, wouldn't all the Batman fans be like, "That's not Batman. That's not Batman. That's not Bruce Wayne. He's not." But because it's a comic book, we allow all these different variations. What do I know? Like I said, I'm just trying to focus on the fact that at least it's selling and comic book stores are hurting. So that's good at least. Nobody. I thought Homelander versus Invincible was gonna be the runway leader. But I want to talk about Quartermain versus Indiana Jones because I just want to talk about Richard Burton, one of my favorite historical characters. So that gives me an excuse to be pretentious.
Are we? If we do that, which one are we talking about? The original H. Rider Haggard character or the Alan Moore reinterpretation?
Well, we'll stick with the original character. I mean, we can mention the Alan Moore, but I'm sure everything. We got plenty of time.
Well, the Alan Moore character is like the elderly version of almost the exact elderly version of the earlier book version of Quartermain.
But he's also a heavy drug addict. Remember? Yeah.
Now,
Well,
I didn't read the Quartermain books. Was he a drug addict in the comics?
No.
In the books?
Not. I've read I've read King Solomon's Mines, and I read the last book of the series, Alan Quartermain. That's what it's called. And no, he never. He was never a drug
I don't
user.
remember him being a drug addict in the Extraordinary League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Yeah, he was an opium freak.
Opium addict, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. That is right. He did have that. You know, he got in trouble when they were capturing Hyde because he shoved all this opium in his mouth, and that's how they captured him. And Mina Harker was kind of like, "Where did you get all that opium?" You know.
Well, if I remember, wasn't his first scene? He was like laying in a bed doing opium. They took him out and cleaned him up.
Yeah, they picked him up in an opium den. I remember now. Okay.
Leave it down.
The movie, he was Sean Connery, cool as ice, you know. But in the book, yeah.
Yeah.
Leave it to Alan Moore to deconstruct all of them. He made Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde into sexual deviants. I don't know what did he do to the Invisible Man? He made him into a
Invisible Man was a rapist.
Yeah, he did that.
Did you read the book? Because the Invisible Man was a rapist.
Yeah, I've got all of them.
And Dr. Jekyll, read the book. He took that potion knowing exactly what he was doing so he could sexually assault women and have a built-in alibi. I'm not joking. That it is a, you know, I did a paper on it in college, as pretentious as that sounds, and my teacher said you're the only one who got what he was doing. Dr. You know, and that's supposed to, they made a movie called Dr. Jekyll, right? Or Jekyll, and it was why can't I think of the actor's name?
But the Invisible Man wasn't a rapist, though, was he?
Murdering psychopath. He was a madman.
It caused a train.
Frederick March was the guy that played it in the black and white movie.
Right. Yeah, but
the change that Moore did was he was homosexual. He was a sexual deviant, but he was homosexual in Alan Moore's the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
In the story I'm remembering, Dr. Jekyll, or rather Mr. Hyde, was a tiny guy, and in the thing, he was just a big brute Hulk thing. Yeah.
He literally got smaller and denser and stronger.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, that's one of the things that's with the paper. He released his inner child, and his inner child horrible. You know, and then Alan Moore even referenced it in the book. He said, but over time, he got bigger. Yeah. But yeah, Mr. Hyde was supposed to be miniature and small and horrible, you know.
Yeah.
But read the book. It's really scary. The book.
I gotta check it out.
Yeah. Oh wow, a book I read and you didn't. Finally.
No,
Robert Louis Stevenson. Yeah.
I watched the movies, tons of movies, but I never really got around to reading that particular book.
Yeah.
The very first one in the early 30s, they imply it, but they can't really say it. But but that's what he does. And why can't I think of the name of the movie? But it stars Pretty Woman. Why can't I think of her name?
Mary Riley.
Yeah, that's the name of the movie.
Malkovich played Dr.
Mary
Jekyll.
Riley,
yeah, Mary Riley. I got to see the movie, but supposedly it was she saw what Dr. Jekyll was doing and horrified. And yeah, anybody see that movie? Is it worth watching?
Yes, it did.
Yeah, I saw it. I stopped it halfway through, but yeah, I started watching it.
R.J. Williams is here. Check out his book called Sign of Ryan. You can get it on my comic. And so next week we'll do Quartermain versus Indiana Jones. That'll be a fun one. And you know, we'll talk about fighting, outsmarting, whatever. Just, you know, they're not superheroes and everything, but this will be a fun one. Directly inspired, both of them inspired by the same historical figure. But
yeah,
I got nothing else to talk about. Or anything you want to say before we go?
Yep. Did Dixon come on?
Dixon was on Wednesday.
Oh, okay.
Dixon was on Wednesday, and we announced that Chuck and I are writing a story together. So
awesome.
yeah, so it's funny because I pitched him the idea and then he didn't get back to me, and I'm like, oh well, he doesn't like it, whatever. And then the next day,
He's a busy guy.
he sends me 6 pages of script. He's like, John, I love this story. So
Yeah.
then he would,
John.
yeah, RJ's here, so it's time to leave. We were waiting for RJ to show up so we can cut out. RJ's now here.
Yeah. You're the victory cigar. We know it's time to. It's over.
So Chuck and I, and he goes, I'm very quick. And it's funny because I'm rushing up Chuck Dixon. I think it's just because I'm so excited. So, so he wrote 6 pages, and then I wrote 8 pages, and then I was like, I don't want to write 20 pages, and then Chuck doesn't like it. You know what I mean? So I was like, you got the. So he said Monday he'll send me more, and we'll, at the rate we're going, we'll be done pretty quick. You know, and then Renzo, Renzo is the artist that was my first artist. You know, I'm loyal to my people, so like you dance with the one that brought you. So I offered Renzo first, and I'm like, it's a really dark horror story. It's really he's like, I'm in. So he's gonna draw that. So Renzo's doing my special, then he's gonna finish the patriarch, and I'm gonna change the schedule around. There's no way I'm letting the Chuck Dixon script sit fallow, you know. So Renzo will do that. Oscar recommended a new artist to me that you know really good, so he will balance out in this new artist. So that's Long Box Comics. I also have a secret project. Still not a lot to talk about. Chopping up the bit to talk about, and I don't know what else to talk about. But that's what's going on. So next time I launch a campaign, which will be sooner rather than later, it'll be the Christmas special, and it's going to be 2 stories. King Fu Blue Christmas, and it's a flip book, and then it's going to be Christmas Magic featuring Christmas Eve at the Patriarch family. So there you go. Cooper, anything you want to talk about? I already I talk so much. Don't give people enough time to talk. Tony, anything you want to talk about?
Yeah. Watch T Bunny's channel. Watch Marcus draw stuff, and please support John. And again, congratulations for that, John. That was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm like telling my wife gets mad because like she knows who Chuck is and she's all happy, but I joke around saying I'm like, I'm writing a story with Chuck Dixon. She's like, oh really? Take the garbage out, please. Oh, Cooper, you got cryptids and conspiracies every other Saturday. We got to push your stuff on your channels. What is the next topic?
We haven't really settled on one yet. We were going to talk about it, but we never did. We haven't yet.
Hey, Cooper, are you free tomorrow night? Are you free tomorrow night around 10? Do you want to do theology tomorrow? We'll talk about the Azazel goat.
Sure.
Okay, so tomorrow,
we'll do that.
I will do theology, and it's open invite. People come on in. We're going to talk about the Azazel goat. I read some stuff about it that was fascinating, and I'd like to talk about it.
Funny, Coop. Do you think you can one of these days talk about the Nazca lines?
I'm not sure what that is.
Oh, I mentioned that. Those big animal drawings in Peru.
Yeah, you can only see from space. There is no way that you could like sit on a hill or a mountain. They're so intricate. They're like giant bugs and monkeys and stuff like that. You can only see them from really, really, really high up.
Yeah, when I first found out about them, I was like looking to see if Jack Kirby made a comic book about them. You know, that's so cool.
That's
yeah.
All right. Well,
it sounds like a good topic. You know, we might do that next Saturday then.
Then if you do that, I'll drop by because my mom's been there. I have family over there, so yeah, I could add a few things. Cool.
See
you guys later.
I see you guys later. Thanks a lot, everybody.
Awesome.
We've been talking for 2.5 hours. So
bye, everybody.
Say goodbye, kids.